Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has grandparents' inheritance. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by trystanr and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Our story starts as we find our young hero, the 9-year-old Naruto Uzumaki. He was running as fast as he could through forest after being beaten up yet again by the villagers. He was bleeding from several wounds all over his body, the worst being the gash across his chest. The blood dripped violently from his wounds, splashing across the ground as he moved. The boy winced as he continued to run. He knew that he couldn't make it too much longer. "Why do they hate me?" he cried out to no one. The mob that he had been running away from had stopped chasing him by now. He kept running, however, having no idea where he was going. Tree after tree he passed, and soon he found himself on the outskirts of the village. There were trees all around him, the forest having enveloped him long ago. "Well, if they want me gone, then I'll leave," he thought to himself before looking around to find any landmarks telling him where he was. He didn't really see anything but trees at first glance, but then he noticed a kind of shimmering off in the distance. He started to run towards it, hoping to find somewhere to rest. After running for a while he didn't find anything and decided to sit down under a tree. The wind was blowing lightly, and he enjoyed the feel of it on his skin. He started to doze off when literally out of nowhere a huge compound appeared not 30 feet from him. "That wasn't there before, I'm sure of it. What in the world?" he said aloud as he started to apprehensively walk in the direction of the mansion. The compound loomed over him, frightening him slightly. He watched as the gates seemingly opened on their own. "Well, I'm not going to get anywhere by standing here," he thought, so he decided to walk inside. The house was 2 stories tall and not overly huge by normal standards. To Naruto, though it was gigantic, the door was in the center of the outer wall, and on either side there was a window. The second story, however, had 3 windows. Inside the gates the compound was huge. There was easily a half-acre of land in the front. Naruto decided that he should knock on the door to see if anyone was home, or if they would even help him. So he did just that, and walked up to the door and knocked 3 times. After a while no one came to the door, so he thought that it was abandoned. He put his hand on the knob and immediately felt the prick of a needle stabbing into his hand. "Oh wow!" he exclaimed, but then was silenced by the big door in front of him opening slowly. When it was completely open he took a peek inside and saw that it was in fact abandoned. Slowly he walked inside. The furnishings inside the living room were very modest, consisting of only a couch, a coffee table, and 2 end tables, one at each end of the couch. There was also one cabinet that seemed full of pictures. He looked into it, and saw 2 people, a man and a woman. The man had long spiky blonde hair that fell to either side of his face. He had blue eyes, and to Naruto, it seemed as if he had a kind smile on his face in every picture. The woman was the same in the respect, although she had long fiery red hair that to the young Naruto was beautiful. She had green eyes and in the pictures looked at the blonde man with love. "I'll explore in the morning, for now I just need a place to sleep." Naruto yawned and went searching for a bedroom. He found one right down the hallway. The first door seemed to be locked but the second wasn't, and thankfully it had a bed. Naruto ran to it and plopped down onto it, not caring in the slightest that he still had injuries. The soft bed felt wonderful on his weary body. He fell asleep in minutes. The Hokage of the village, hidden in the leaves, however, did not have such a peaceful end of the night. "Nico! Bear! Where the hell is Naruto?" he yelled in fury to 2 of his most trusted umbu. He had heard news of what the villagers had done to the boy and was worried sick about him. "I'm sorry, sir. We've looked all over the village and he is nowhere to be found," Bear said, bowing. "Damn it, I want him found as soon as possible," the old Hokage said with authority. "Yes, sir," the 2 said and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Hiruzen sat down in his chair and took a long drag from his pipe. "Oh, I hope you're okay, Naruto-kun. I don't know what I'd tell Minato-kun and Kushina-chan if anything happened to their son." He went to one of the many secret chambers of the Hokage tower. This one contained the crystal ball he used to oversee the village from the tower. He started to comb the streets of the Leaf Village himself, looking for Naruto. No matter where he looked though, the boy wasn't to be found. He then started looking around the forest on the outskirts of the village, and after a few minutes he saw the compound. "That wasn't there before. I haven't seen that since Minato-kun asked me to put the invisibility seal he made for it over it when he died. This doesn't make sense. Why would it reappear now?" he wondered to himself. He looked around the compound and noticed that there were large amounts of blood leading up to the gate. "That must be where he is," the Hokage thought. "I had better go and see for myself. I don't want anyone to know that he's there of all places. If he is, though, I'll have to tell him the truth about his heritage. He'll find out soon enough if I don't." With that thought he shined to the location of the compound. When he got there he found that the gate was open and that more blood led up to the door. He walked inside the gate and shut it behind him, before walking to the door. He knew that Minato would have only let his son in. He was the only one given a key to his successor's house, other than his student Jiraiya. He took the key out of his pocket and unlocked the door. He turned the knob and slowly walked inside. The place was just as he remembered it, with nothing amiss, except that there were small amounts of blood leading into the hallway. The old man followed the blood to the second doorway and saw Naruto Uzumaki sleeping soundly in the bed. Relieved that the boy was alright, he walked inside and quietly as he could, looked over the wounds. Miraculously, all but the gash on his chest had finished healing by now. Sarutobi saw the other cut marks in his clothing and wondered to himself where the wounds had gone. He watched as the final injury finished healing on its own. What the hell? This boy has some really advanced healing abilities. I wonder if the fox could be doing it, he thought, as if it could be impossible that the fox would help him. Well, at least he's okay. I'll let him sleep tonight, and then wake him up in the morning. The old man silently exited the house, and when he got outside the gate he put the invisibility seal back up so that no one would know where Naruto was and that the fourth Hokage's house still stood. If it gets out that this building is still here, people will want to search it, and find all the jutsu Minato and Kushina worked on together. I can't let that happen. He left as quickly as he came, glad that his adoptive grandson was alright. When he got back to the Hokage tower he called for Bear and Nico. I have found Naruto, and he is alright. I'm keeping his location a secret for now so as to discourage any more attackers. Thank you, Nico. Bear, that will be all. The two nodded in unison, and disappeared after he gave them their leave. The old Hokage sighed, knowing that he would have a very busy day tomorrow. The next morning Naruto opened his eyes slowly to adjust to the light. He was still in the same bed he remembered falling asleep in. He got out of bed and looked around. The room was kind of plain, having only the bed and two end tables as furniture. He walked out of the room and then down the hallway to the third room. This one was on the right instead of the left. He took a peek inside, and it was pretty much the same as the other. So he kept looking around the house. There were 3 bedrooms on this floor, and they all looked almost exactly the same as the first. The other room was a bathroom, and it was just as plain as the other. He found the staircase at the end of the hall. He looked at the floor of the landing, and noticed what seemed like a trap door. I'll explore down there later. I want to see the second floor first. The staircase switched directions at that point, going back towards the living room. He followed it up to the second floor, and found that it was just as big as the first. It looked like it had 6 rooms by how many doors there were. He walked to the end of the hallway, and it opened up into a den-type area. There was a couch and love seat framing the walls and a wooden coffee table in the middle of them. There was a door separating the den from the biggest bedroom of all. Naruto decided to look through all of the rooms, starting with the ones at the beginning of the hallway. All in all, there were 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. They looked almost exactly like the one he slept in. They were very plain and looked as if no one had been inside them in years. He finally came to the last door, and again felt the prick of a needle on his hand as he tried to turn the knob. He opened the door, still wondering about the pain he felt at the front door and this one. He opened the door slowly and noticed immediately that this room was different than all of the others. It was bigger and brighter for one. He saw that there were many pictures of the couple he saw in the cabinet downstairs. They looked very happy together. The bedroom had a king-sized bed in the middle of the back wall and a dresser with a vanity mirror on the left wall looking in from the door. There was another cabinet full of different pictures on the right wall, and 2 end tables that surrounded the bed. On one of the end tables there was a picture that he hadn't seen yet. It was one of the couple holding a baby boy. The 2 adults in the picture looked very tired and weary, and the background was very dark. The 2 looked absolutely happy, though, looking down at the boy. He had blonde spiky hair and cerulean blue eyes. The boy looked familiar to Naruto, but he didn't have any more time to study it as someone else made their presence known in the room. Naruto, you shouldn't be in here. This house belonged to 2 very important ninja. They aren't living anymore, but it wouldn't do to disrespect the dead. Hiruzen Sarutobi said, knowing full well whose house they were standing in. I didn't mean to disrespect anyone, Gigi. I was only looking for somewhere to sleep last night because the villagers hurt me and kicked me out of the village, the boy said, looking at the elder man with sadness in his eyes. The Hokage knew this already. I know what they did to you, Naruto, and they will be severely punished for this despicable crime they've committed against you. I want to ask you, do you know whose house you're standing in right now? He asked. Well, the man in the pictures looks like the 4th Hokage. We've went over him a little in the academy, so if I had to guess right now it'd be his and his wife's house, the blonde said, looking around. That's very good, at least you paid attention during some of your classes, but what you don't know is that they had a son. They named him Naruto. The baby in the picture over there's him. This is your house, Naruto. I wasn't supposed to tell you about this place until you made Chunin, but since you found it on your own I had no other choice. This is an S-class village secret, so I don't want you to tell anyone about this house until the day that you earn your Chunin rank. You are allowed to stay here. It is your house after all. The Hokage smiled, saying. Naruto stood there shocked. His eyes were bulging and his mouth fell open. Wait, so you're telling me that the 4th Hokage was my dad? He could barely get the words out. The Hokage smiled. Yes, Naruto, he was your dad. Now sit down, we have a lot to talk about today. The blonde sat on what he now knew as his mother and father's bed. Hiruzen sat beside him. There is much that you don't know about yourself and your parents, Naruto, but I must ask that everything I say to you today stays between us. Of course, Gramps, I may be young, but I know they must have had reasons for keeping this a secret. Didn't Dad die fighting the Kyuubi? The boy asked. Hiruzen looked down somberly. Tell me what you know about the Kyuubi attack 9 years ago, Naruto. The blonde was puzzled for a moment, and then he answered, "Well, I know that the fourth fought him and killed him, but died in the process. That is what we have told everyone to keep you safe. The truth is that the QB cannot be killed. The fourth did the only thing he could at the time and sealed it into a baby boy. That boy was his only son. It was you, Naruto." Naruto was speechless. He had not only learned about his parents but that his father sealed the beast feared by the entire Fire Nation inside of him. "I guess that's why all the villagers hate me, huh?" "Why me though, Gigi? Couldn't he have sealed it in another child?" Naruto asked. "Well, the answer to that question is not one that I can give you, but one you must find for yourself. In time it will be clear to you, Naruto. Now that you know the full truth to your parentage and what is inside you, you will have to be careful. No one can know who your father is until you can truly protect yourself." Naruto nodded, agreeing. "Will you tell me about them?" "My parents, I mean." Naruto had tears in his eyes thinking about all that he had lost because they were gone. He would never get a chance to meet them, or to have a family. He would never have a normal childhood, and while he had always known this, knowing who they were hurt even more. Hiruzen looked at the boy and knew exactly what he was thinking. It pained him to see the boy who he thought of as his adoptive grandson hurt like this. They were amazing people, Naruto. Your mother was as fiery as they come. She had this way of making anything into a light-hearted moment. She was a serious prankster when she was young, not unlike yourself. He laughed at this. She was a very powerful shinobi as well, being known throughout the 5 great nations as the Red Hot Habanero. Her use of 2 red swords helped support the name. She knew many different aspects of the shinobi teachings, but she as well as Minato were masters in Fuinjutsu, which is the sealing art. I believe she was the one to teach your father all he knew about the art. She particularly loved to use the more explosive seals on your father's master, Jiraiya, who she considered to be a pervert of the highest order. I'm sure you'll meet him soon enough. Your mother's name was Kushina Uzumaki. He smiled, remembering how awful Kushina was to Jiraiya when it came to his research. Naruto listened raptly, taking all of what was being said in. And what about Dad? He asked. Well, your dad was amazing as well in his own right. He was loving and cared about everyone in the village more than most people I've ever met. He and Kushina were in love almost from the moment they met, but I believe that it was one time that he saved her from being captured was when they both truly knew how they each felt. Your father was a prodigy among prodigies. He learned everything he put his mind to learning, and it wasn't because he was some genius. He worked hard for everything, and he never gave up. That was something that he got from Jiraiya to an extent. He created the Rasengan and many other jutsu, including the one that made him famous, the Hiraishin. He was known as the Yellow Flash of Konoha throughout the shinobi world. His name was Minato Namikaze. I love both of them like they were my own children, and they have made me prouder than ever. I still remember the happiness on their faces when you were born. They loved you like nothing else in the world. Naruto was crying now, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of joy. He finally knew about his parents and who they were. But most importantly, he knew that they loved him. The old Hokage took Naruto in an embrace, and the two stayed like that for a while. Naruto, this house has many secrets for you to uncover, and if you would like I can have someone come by and help you with looking through everything and dealing with it all. Don't worry about him trying to hurt you. He feels the same as I do about you, if not even more. He was your father's student. He can help to train you and get you ready for your life as a genin in 3 years. That's when you'll be taking your graduation exam at the academy. Would that be okay with you? He asked the young blonde after breaking the embrace they held. Naruto looked at the man and smiled. Yeah, I would like that. If this man was my father's student, I can get to know even more about him. I'd like a few days to have this house to myself before he comes though, if that's alright. Hiruzen nodded, understanding. Alright, I will send him here Monday morning. Be ready to work until you drop on that day, Naruto. This man I'm sending to help you is a jounin now, and will not take it easy on you just because you're a kid. You need to be ready. Also, I would ask that you do not try to contact the fox spirit inside your unit. He gets here on Monday. It could be dangerous. The Hokage got up. He looked at Naruto, and the boy nodded. Alright, I'll come by and check on you in a few weeks. The job of Hokage can be very busy. Naruto smiled a foxy smile. I'll remember that when I take the hat from you, old man. I'm going to surpass my dad and become the greatest Hokage this world has ever seen, he exclaimed. The Hokage chuckled. Big dreams for such a shrimp. I'll be sure to remember this promise when the time comes. Hiruzen said, still laughing a little. With that, the Hokage left the room and Naruto was left alone in his new home. He thought about what to do as he sat on the bed. He decided to look around the room a bit. He searched both end tables and didn't really find much, just a few old books, one of which was written by his father's sensei. He smiled when he saw the name and began to read the book called Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. Outside, Hiruzen smiled at how well Naruto had taken everything. He decided it best to undo the seals shielding the house from view, and headed back to his office. He called Nico and Bear, along with Kakashi, to his office. When they all arrived, he took a drag from his pipe and told them all about what had just happened between him and Naruto. They all had looks of concern on their faces except for Kakashi. He told Bear and Nico to keep watch over the compound 24/7 and to put a perimeter barrier around it so that if anyone's curiosity got the better of them that he would know about it. This was to be a full-time mission, and they were told that they would get a double S rank's worth of mission pay once the boy graduated from the academy in 3 years. Yes, Hokage-sama, they said in unison and disappeared in a classic shunshin, the swirling of the leaves. Once they were both gone, the old Hokage eyed Kakashi for any tell of how he was feeling about this. Kakashi, however, was elated about the fact that his sensei's son finally knew the truth. I'm glad he found their house. I didn't want to hide it from him in the first place. It is rightfully his after all. I'm guessing that you calling me here and telling me this means that you want me to teach the boy, Kakashi said, and was hoping that this was the case. He had wanted to have more of a part in Naruto's life than staying in the shadows watching over the boy for a long time now. Yes, you will go to the compound Monday morning and help him sort through anything he has found by then. Then I want you to be his full-time sensei until he graduates from the academy and is put on your Team 7. I will give you an academy schedule so that you will know exactly what he is learning and when. I want you to help him grow and mature into the amazing shinobi that I know. He cannot be lazy about this, Kakashi. It is Friday today, so you have 3 days to think about how to go about training him, the Hokage said. Alright, Hokage-sama. Thank you for this opportunity to be in Naruto's life. I will not fail you, Kakashi replied with more vigor in his voice than the Hokage had seen in years. They talked a little more about what Hiruzen wanted Kakashi to do, and then he gave Kakashi the schedule. Kakashi left to get to planning. Naruto was in his parents' room reading the book that was left in one of the end tables. He was really enjoying it, and thought that it was one of the best books he had ever read, not that he had read many books before this. He was about a quarter of the way through and decided to put it down to explore the house a little more. He stopped at the end of the last chapter he was on and bookmarked his place. He then got up and exited his parents' old room. Then he remembered the trapdoor that he saw on the landing of the stairs, and the locked door downstairs. He walked downstairs to the locked door and tried to open it once more. It wouldn't budge, so he went to the landing on the stairs and pulled open the trapdoor. It didn't budge either, until he felt the prick of the needle, and then it swung open. Under the door was a hole made of stone that went down about 9 feet. He jumped down and found himself in the dark. I need a light, he thought to himself before looking for something he could use. He saw the faint outline of an unlit torch and struck a match from his ninja pouch to light it. When it was lit, he looked around and found that he was staring at a stone wall. After turning around, he saw a long hallway with more unlit torches lining it. He lit 4 of them other than the one he held /2 at the beginning of the large hall and 2 at the end. When he reached the end and lit the 2 torches, however, what he saw amazing him. He was looking at a humongous library that seemed like it doubled as a training space as well. There were shelves upon shelves full of scrolls and books in front of him, and lining the walls to the right. There must have been thousands of scrolls full of jutsu down there. Past the 3 rows of shelves the space opened up and there were training dummies spread out in the remaining space. One thing caught his eye though as he looked around, and that was a rather large desk at the far side of the room. On it were 2 letters. He picked up the one that had his father's name on it. He opened it and read, Dear Naruto, by now you've made Chunin and the old man has told you about your heritage. I'm so proud of you, son. This place was meant to be the first hidden part of our and your house that you discovered. There are many other places that you will find. Just as a hint, most of them will be underground and connected to this one. This is mine and your mother's personal jutsu library. It contains a place for you to train and every jutsu or seal your mother and I have collected over the years. It also keeps all the research we have conducted over the years on chakra and jutsu and seals. In the drawer to your left is a scroll containing my own personal taijutsu style. We both hope that you use this place and the things we have left to you to become as strong as you can. I love you very much, Naruto, and I know that you have probably had a pretty hard life so far, and for that I'm sorry. Being a Jinchuriki is never easy. Your mother and I know all about how hard it is. She was the Kyuubi's container before you. Nevertheless, you should never have been put through all of that pain and loneliness. I can't express into words how sorry I am. Before I go, I have one last hint as to where another hidden place is for you to find. One of the training dummies has a clue as to where you will find all the information we have on mine and Kushina's clan histories. Sadly, this all the time I have, so I want to wish you good luck in everything you do. Train hard and do your best, my son. With love always, your father Minato Namikaze. Naruto read and reread the letter and was in tears by the time he finished the 3rd read. Everything in this house and that his parents left him showed the love they had for him. It made him so happy. He decided to wait to read his mother's letter until the next day so that he could start to look around the library. He wasn't very worried about finding the place that held the secrets of his heritage just yet. He had so much to do here. He pulled open the drawer and found the scroll his father was talking about in the letter. He opened it to see the name of his dad's fighting style. Roaring Dragon Strike, huh? Even dad's style has a cool name. I'll bet it's very good in combat too. Naruto thought to himself. He looked around the library to see if he could find some jutsu that he thought would be cool. The shelves were organized pretty well. Each row had the kanji for either an element symbolizing that it was ninjutsu for that element, or it had the kanji for taijutsu or genjutsu. There was one other row of scrolls that had the kanji for sealing on it, so he guessed that that was where all his mom and dad's sealing jutsu were. He started at the end, which was ninjutsu for fire. He found 3 scrolls that he thought would be useful and they were fire style, Fire Wave, which was a D-rank ninjutsu that you spread a wave of fire around the front of yourself to either protect yourself from an enemy closing the distance on you or you attacked a group of enemies with it. It could be used on the ground or if you were attacking into the air around you. The second fire jutsu he found was Fire Style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. In this jutsu you spit small balls of fire at your opponent. It was a decent C-rank attack type jutsu. The third jutsu he found was the most interesting to him. It was the A-rank jutsu Fire Style, Hellfire Whirlwind. It was a skill which could be used in order to protect the user, gathering their chakra into the air and having it spin around them. A flaming whirlwind emerges around the user, forming somewhat of a protective barrier. Normally it is used to deter the opponent from continuing their taijutsu attack, but can be used offensively to send an opponent whom prefers close range a good distance away because of its spinning force. It seemed to Naruto that it was a more advanced version of the Fire Wave Jutsu. Having found 3 good fire-type jutsu that his teacher could teach him, he moved on to the next element. He walked over to the next row. It was Earth Jutsu. He fairly quickly found 3 beginner jutsu that he liked. One was Earth Style, Mud Wall, a C-rank jutsu where you performed the hand seals and slammed your hands into the earth. A wall of earth and mud that could be big or small depending on the chakra used would spring up in front of you. It is a very good defensive jutsu. The second that he found was Earth Style, Stone Shuriken Jutsu. It was a D-rank offensive jutsu that allowed you to turn some of the earth around you into shuriken. It was mostly used when a ninja ran out of his or her shuriken. The third was another C-rank offensive jutsu called Earth Style Rising Stone Spears. In this jutsu the user would slam their hands onto the ground or any earth really, and could when and where hardened spikes of earth would stab out of the ground at an opponent. The next element down the line was Futon, or wind. This element interested him the most so far. It was a mostly offensive element that harnessed the air around the user. He in his young mind thought that it meant that it was possible for him to one day be able to fly. Needless to say, he was very excited about learning this element. He looked through the row until he found 3 good jutsu to learn. They were all offensive, of course. The first was Futon, Drilling Air Bullet. In this D-rank jutsu the user inhaled and compressed an amount of air of their choosing before launching it at the enemy at high speeds. The second jutsu he found was Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, a crank jutsu where the user created a gust of wind to knock back their opponent. He smiled as he looked at the last one. It was Wind Style, Blade of Wind. In this C-rank jutsu the user used their hand to launch a blade of wind at the opponent, slashing them wherever hit. He quickly went and set the 3 jutsu scrolls down with his other 6 and went to looking for some water style jutsu. He could only find one that really stuck out to him at the moment, and that was Water Style, Water Whip Jutsu. It was a C-rank offensive type jutsu that allowed the user to create a whip of water from a body of water and use it as an extension of his or her index and middle fingers. The last and final ninjutsu row of the library was the Lightning Style. He started to walk down it looking for some jutsu that he could learn. He found a very useful looking E-rank jutsu called Lightning Style, Static Strings Jutsu, which allows the user to create strings of electricity that can either act physically as strings, or as a medium that can send small shocks to an opponent. One of this technique's most useful features is its ability to allow the user to detect outsiders. When the strings are placed around an area, they are often fairly difficult to see and unnoticed by the quick eye. But when the string is used to detect outsiders, they can adapt a quality that is string-like and electrical at the same time. This quality makes the static strings into a string of electricity, but with such a weak current that it is rarely noticed by shinobi who accidentally walk through the strings. However, when this happens, the user at once will feel a small shock in their fingers, or wherever else they are keeping the strings intact. But unless the opponent felt the weak current as they walk through the strings, the opponent will usually never know the strings were there. But beyond its ability to detect outsiders, this skill can be used as a normal string when it is needed but none is around, or it can be used to create small shocks to other people. However, the shocks are only a little bit stronger than static electricity, and usually do no damage at all. He thought it could be very useful for creating a perimeter around a camp, or just tying up enemy ninja and interrogating them. He also found a D-rank offensive jutsu called Lightning Style, Lightning Bolt Jutsu, in which the user shoots a bolt of lightning at their opponent from their hand. It wasn't a continuous stream though, just one bolt. He looked around the row of Lightning Jutsu once more and found the C-rank version of the Lightning Bolt Jutsu, which was Lightning Style Lightning Blast. This jutsu worked in exactly the same as its predecessor except that it was a continuous stream of lightning coming from the hand. After he found the last jutsu that he wanted his teacher to teach him, he went to where they were all stacked and sat the Lightning Style Jutsu there. He went to each row again and found a beginner's guide to each element. He sat the 13 jutsu and their corresponding element guides onto his father's desk. He pocketed his mom's letter and went back to exploring the library. In the end he picked up 3 more books and 1 more scroll. One book was a beginner's guide to sealing and another was one for genjutsu. Although now that he knew he had the kyubi inside him, he doubted that he could even use genjutsu because of his high chakra reserves. The third book was on jutsu theory, and the scroll was on a beginner's taijutsu style. He guessed that there would be certain requirements to learn his dad's style, so he decided on learning a beginner style to start with. He put the new books and the scroll into his dad's desk and then realized that he heard something. It was growling coming from his stomach. Whoops, guess I've been down here for a while, he thought, and then started back towards the hallway to go back up to the house. When he got out of the trapdoor and shut it, he walked to the kitchen and realized it was completely empty. Damn, I forgot to ask Gigi to bring me some food. Oh well, I guess I'll go out and get some, he thought, and headed outside. He had been down in the basement far longer than he thought, and it was already starting to get dark. He exited the gate, and as he was walking towards the village he wondered where he could even get food. No one would sell anything to him because of the QB. Guess I'll head to Gigi's office and ask him, he thought, and started making his way to the Hokage Tower. It took him about 30 minutes to get there from where he was. During the run he was berated and stared at harshly. None of the villagers would touch him though, because of what happened to the last few that did. Naruto didn't know that was why though. He walked into the Hokage Tower and asked to see him. What business would a demon brat like you have with the Hokage? The receptionist asked, sneering at him hatefully. Well, I need some food and he always tells me to come to him if I need anything, Naruto said, looking down. Send the boy in. The woman heard from the old man's office. Go ahead then, she said, not at all happy about it. He walked back to the Hokage's office. When he walked inside there was a man smoking and another man with glasses and a bandana on his head already in there with him. That will be all, Asuma, Ebisu. You are dismissed. The man with the glasses, Ebisu, looked at Naruto with utter contempt as he walked by. Naruto looked down as the other man walked past him, but not before he saw a completely different look on his face. It was pity. He felt sorry for Naruto because of what he had to go through every day. Asuma even smiled at the boy, for he knew the truth about Naruto's beast. Naruto looked up dumbfounded, but smiled back thinking that maybe not all the people in this village were so bad. Asuma left, and the Hokage asked Naruto why he had come to see him this evening. Well, I spent most of the day down in the basement of Mom and Dad's house. They have an amazing library. It has everything you could ever want to learn about the ninja arts in it. I didn't really open much, but Dad left me a letter and his fighting style, the Roaring Dragon strike style. I went through the library and picked out a few jutsu from each element for the teacher you're sending to me Monday to look at and teach me. I also picked out beginner books in Genjutsu Taijutsu, sealing, and each of the 5 elements. I feel like I need to be well-rounded if I'm going to succeed and be the best ninja I can be. Mom also left me a letter, but I'm going to wait until tomorrow to open it. But none of that is why I'm here, Gramps. I need food. I feel like I'm going to fall over any second, he said, exaggerating a little. The Hokage looked at him with a dumb look on his face. This is the dead last at the academy? What the hell happened to the boy to make his reasoning skills this sound? Here he is telling me what he needs to be trained in, and listening to him is like listening to a genin. An experienced one at that. Aloud he said, alright Naruto, let's go and get you some ramen. I could use a break anyway. I'll have food sent over to your new house in the morning. The old man got up and they walked out of the Hokage Tower towards Ichiraku Ramen, a little ramen shop that Naruto loved. When they arrived at the shop, Tochi the owner said, welcome to Ichiraku Ramen, home of the, oh Hokage-sama, what brings you here? Oh, and you've brought our favorite customer with you. How are you, Naruto-kun? Naruto smiled. I'm fine, old man. Can I get 3 bowls of your miso ramen, please? Sure, coming right up. Hokage-sama, what would you like? The Hokage asked for 1 bowl of miso ramen and smiled as they started getting their orders ready. He looked at the young blonde in front of him and saw that not much had changed. So why is he so much smarter? He wondered. Naruto, I have a question. You have always been dead last at the academy, and you've known this. But tonight I notice reasoning in what you've done that far surpasses your years. It sounded like an experienced genin was talking to me, and not a 9-year-old academy student. What happened? Naruto simply laughed and said, oh come on, Gramps. You can't tell me that you haven't noticed. The lack of intelligence and overall bad grades at the academy has been a mask from the beginning. I thought that if I seemed dumb and easy to get along with, I'd make friends faster and easier. For a while it worked, but lately no one seems to want to be my friend at the academy. They all steer clear of me for some reason, Naruto said proudly at first, and then his voice changed to one of sadness. Hiruzen was stunned. He couldn't believe that he hadn't seen through Naruto's mask of idiocy from the beginning. I can't believe I didn't notice. Naruto, you are really good at that. Do you think anyone else knows you're faking it? He asked. The boy thought for a moment and then said, well, Shikamaru probably knows. He's way smarter than me, even though he doesn't show it either. He and Choji are 2 of my only friends at the academy. The old Hokage seemed deep in thought after this. The food was finally served and they both started enjoying their respective meals. Hiruzen paused and said, I think that starting Monday you should let go of the act. Show them all the real you, Naruto-kun, he said, smiling. Naruto finished his first bowl before saying, why do you think that, Gramps? If being dumb hasn't helped me make friends, what makes you think taking of the mask and being smart will? Hiruzen was eating, and as he finished chewing his last bite he said, well Naruto, it might not help with that aspect of academy life. However, it will show everyone that you had them all fooled and that the Naruto that they know isn't the real you. It could help in earning some respect. Oh, and I wouldn't act like an idiot in front of your teacher either. He wouldn't take it too well. The old man chuckled. The boy listened, and after hearing everything he agreed and told his adoptive grandfather that he would do it. He'd show them all the real Naruto Uzumaki. After finishing their ramen, the 2 left the restaurant and walked back to Naruto's house. When they reached the compound, the Hokage said goodbye to Naruto and headed back to the tower. With his stomach full and a little bit of a weight lifted off his shoulders, Naruto decided that it was time for bed. He took off his jumpsuit and headed to his parents' room to sleep. When he was there, he felt closer to them than anywhere else. The blonde was sleeping soundly within minutes. The next morning, Naruto woke to his front door being open. Knowing that no one but Gramps and a few others even knew about his new house, he went downstairs to investigate. He found a silver-haired jounin, by the looks of him, carrying groceries into his kitchen. "So you're who Gramps decided to have restock my fridge?" "My name's Naruto, who are you?" he said, walking into the living room behind the man. This didn't surprise the jounin, however, as he had heard the boy wake up and come downstairs. He sat the groceries on the kitchen table and turned around to see a young boy wearing a green shirt with the Uzumaki clan symbol, the swirl, in red along with black boxers. The boy was rubbing the sleep out of his eyes as he spoke. "Well, Naruto, you and I weren't supposed to meet until Monday, but when the Hokage said that you needed groceries for your empty kitchen, I volunteered to bring them here. He also told me that you brought him a few ideas on some jutsu you would like to learn. I'm your new sensei starting Monday. My name is Kakashi Hatake and I was on your father Genin team. Why don't we sit down and talk for a while? He'll cook us both some eggs for breakfast." The jounin Naruto now knew as Kakashi said. He had a mask over his face, and his left eye was covered by his headband. He dressed like Naruto assumed most jounin did, with a green flak jacket and a blue long-sleeved ninja shirt. He also had blue ninja pants on as well. "Sure, I'd like to talk to you for a while before we start training on Monday. By now Gigi has told you that I've found my parents' library, and went through it for some jutsu that you could teach me. I got 3 for each element except for water because I couldn't really find anything that stuck out other than the one I did pick. I also got beginner's books for controlling each element and books on sealing, genjutsu, jutsu theory, and a beginner's taijutsu scroll. I doubt the genjutsu book will be of any use to me since I have such high chakra reserves, but I thought I should have a well-rounded background in everything. Wouldn't you agree, Kakashi-sensei?" He explained what he had been up to and why. The jounin had to say that he was impressed with the boy so far. His file stated that he was dead last at the academy, and didn't have much of a future as a ninja. "Well, Naruto, you've impressed me with how much you've thought about this. Why don't you go and get everything you've come up with while I cook?" Kakashi said, and I smiled at the boy. "Yes, sensei," Naruto said and jumped up from the couch. He first went upstairs and got dressed in his jumpsuit before going down into the library and getting everything he had come up with so far, including his father's scroll. "Oh, that's right, I still need to open Mom's letter today. I'll do it when Kakashi-sensei and I get done eating," he thought to himself as he brought everything to the coffee table in the living room. The food was done by that time, so they both sat at the kitchen table and started eating. They ate slowly, talking about Minato mostly. Naruto learned that he was a strict but caring sensei. He also learned that Kakashi had become jounin at the age of 13, which was a record only broken by his father, and someone named Itachi Uchiha. Kakashi told him many stories about when he was a genin. He never talked about his teammates though, which Naruto thought was odd but decided to ask another day. Finally they had finished eating and sat down in the living room. When Kakashi saw the jutsu the boy had picked for himself, he was impressed yet again. "This is a very well-rounded arsenal of jutsu for a young ninja like you. Some of these I won't be able to teach you until later in your training, of course, but I could definitely teach you one from each element in a pretty short time. Let me look at your father's taijutsu style. From what I remember, it required speed, strength, and the accuracy to be able to hit a major or minor vital point with every strike. To get you ready, we will have to start you on an everyday exercise routine." Kakashi looked at the style Minato used, and he was right. The boy wouldn't be able to learn this style for a while. But it seemed as if Naruto already knew this because he had gotten a very basic taijutsu style to learn first. "Now I want you to know that learning these jutsu from all the different elements will not be easy. Some will come to you easier than others." "Do you know why this is, Naruto?" he asked. "Well, if I had to guess, it would be because our bodies are born with an affinity to certain elements. Like the Uchiha are usually fire style users. Iruka-sensei has been teaching us a little about the difference between all the elements in class." "Kakashi-sensei? I sort of need to do something before we continue. See, my mom and dad both left me letter for when I learned about this place. I waited till today to open Mom's because I had too much to do yesterday. I'd like to open it now." Naruto smiled and pulled out the letter. "Got it in one, Naruto. You're nothing like what people say you are." "Hokage-sama did tell me to expect this though, so it's not really a surprise." "Yes, Naruto, go ahead and open it. I'm sure she has left something for you. If I know Kushina-sensei, it will help make you a better ninja, just like what your father left," Kakashi said to the boy. Naruto opened the letter and read, "Dear Naruto, I'm writing this to you in hopes that you'll get it when you earn your Chunin rank. I'm so proud of you, my son. You're a Chunin now, so missions will be harder, and you will be chosen to lead your comrades on some of them. I wish you luck in all of your training and I hope that you get strong. Now Hiruzen has probably told you a little about me, and I hope that you listened well. I'm your mother and I want to warn you about the 3 vices of shinobi life. The first is alcohol. You must learn to drink responsibly. The second is money. You must know how to take care of and spend your money from your missions wisely. The third is women. I want you to find a woman that you fall in love with and want to marry. Don't settle for anything less, Naruto. I don't have much time left, but I wanted to leave you these. I hope they help you to become a stronger shinobi and that you use them well. With love always, your mother Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto read the letter over and over, smiling bigger and bigger each time. At the bottom of the letter was a drawing of some sort. He had no idea what it was or where the gift his mom left him was. Kakashi-sensei, what's this? He asked the jounin about the drawing. Oh, that is a sealing matrix. Your mother sealed her gift into the letter. You should be able to apply some blood and retrieve whatever she has left for you. Kakashi replied. Naruto did just that, and 2 blood-red swords poofed into existence and fell to the floor. Kakashi gaped. She left him these. He thought, knowing what they were immediately. Naruto, these were the swords that made your mother known throughout the ninja world as the red-hot habanero. They are chakra blades. Kakashi explained, and Naruto was ecstatic. He picked them both up and looked them over. Each blade was a little over 2.5 feet long. They had a very slight curve upwards on the dull edge, and they were wider at the tip than at the base. They looked identical. Each one had 4 holes in the steel at the base of the blade, about an inch apart, to make for faster swinging. Naruto loved them. He looked at them a little while longer, and then set them aside to continue his conversation with his new sensei. Okay, so if we all have an affinity for an element, what's yours? And can we find out what mine is? The boy asked the jounin, still excited about his gift. Kakashi smiled. Well, I have a major affinity for lightning and a minor one for earth. Yes, I have brought some chakra paper to test your affinity, he replied. The silver-haired jounin pulled out 3 pieces of white paper. I want you to touch one of these papers and concentrate. Visualize pouring energy into the slip of paper. Naruto took a piece of paper and did as he was asked. What happened surprised Kakashi. 2/3 of the paper was sliced into tiny pieces, but the last part of the paper was crumpled slightly. Well, Naruto, looks like you have 2 affinities as well. You have a major affinity for wind and a minor one for lightning. This is good. I will be able to help you a lot in strengthening your lightning affinity. Your affinity for wind is another matter, however. I know the exercises to help you, but I only know one person in the village with an affinity for wind other than you. We will worry about this after you have graduated. You shouldn't be training in elemental manipulation for a while. What we need to do is get you started on the basics. From now on, every morning I want you to run 5 laps around the compound and do 100 sit-ups, push-ups, punches and kicks. You'll be wearing this beginner set of weights from now on. Kakashi explained and pulled out a set of 10-pound weights for the boy to start with. Alright, Kakashi-sensei, if you want to start training today, I'm game. Naruto said, grinning in his trademark foxy grin. Kakashi laughed at the boy's enthusiasm. Alright, Naruto, go ahead and get started on your workout. When you're finished, come get me and I'll tell you what to do next. Naruto got up enthusiastically and put on his weights before setting off to do the workout Kakashi had set for him. Kakashi looked over the jutsu the boy had picked again and marveled at how well-rounded the choices were. This would shape up to be a great partnership between student and sensei, he thought. Over the rest of the weekend a routine was made. Kakashi would wake Naruto up at dawn for his exercises, and then they would work the beginner taijutsu katas, which they both knew Naruto needed the most. Kakashi was very strict when it came to these. He would make Naruto do them precisely and repeatedly until he got them down. After a few hours of drilling him on taijutsu, they would work on chakra control. This was an area that Naruto was seriously lacking in. Kakashi started him on the leaf sticking exercise. It was a control exercise where Naruto would stick a leaf to his skin and keep it there for as long as he could. Once he could keep the leaf there for a certain amount of time, Kakashi would tell him to add another leaf. When he first started, he could barely hold it for a few minutes. Soon it started getting easier, and he could hold it for longer. Finally he got to the second leaf after the first session of chakra control. After they worked on control for a few hours, it was time to work on a jutsu. The first one that they worked on was lightning style, static strings jutsu. Because of their shared chakra natures, Kakashi was immensely enjoying how well his student learned. It was Sunday afternoon, and the boy had already moved up to 10 leaves on the chakra control exercises. He had mastered the static strings jutsu and was working on lightning style, lightning bolt jutsu. Naruto had also finished learning all of the beginner taijutsu katas from the scroll. He had begun to become slightly proficient in the beginner taijutsu, and while nowhere near mastering it, he was getting better. At the moment he was working on getting the power right on the lightning bolt jutsu. Kakashi was watching him from a perch on a tree limb, while he read the next book in his precious Ika series. It was almost dark and time for them to stop for the day. The sun was setting past the tree line. The light made everything have an orange hue to it. This kid is ridiculous. He's been going at this jutsu for almost 2.5 hours now, and he's already getting the hang of it. The silver-haired man thought. It was obvious that his student was getting tired. Aloud the jounin said, Alright Naruto, time's up for the day. Tomorrow's Monday, and you start back at the academy. I'll wake you up in the morning for your exercises, and we will pick back up on taijutsu when you get home. I want you to know that I'm proud of how far you've come in these last 2 days. You're like a sponge, kid. You've learned a lot. Go, get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning. He jumped down from the tree and Naruto thanked him for helping him learn so quickly. They said goodbye and Naruto went to the second room on the first floor, which was now his room. He looked around the room thinking how surreal it was that this was his room. He had never had anything to call his own, besides the small rundown apartment that the Hokage had given him when he found out that the orphanage kicked him out. He was only 4 when they made him leave, and the Hokage didn't find out until after he turned 7, so those next few years on the streets had been tough for the blonde. It became a little easier once the old man gave him his apartment, but the villagers knew where he was then. Now they had no idea. It was like a little slice of paradise for the child. Time for bed. He thought and undressed, before plopping down on his bed. He fell asleep only a few minutes after his head hit the pillow. In the morning Kakashi knocked on Naruto's door, waking him from his slumber. The boy opened his eyes and got out of bed groggily before getting dressed and answering the door. "Morning Kakashi-sensei," he sleepily said. "Good morning Naruto, let's get started on your exercises. When you're done I have something for you." Naruto smiled at the thought of his sensei giving him a gift. Without another word he started on his morning routine. He finished the laps about a half hour later, and started on the physical workout. He started with the push-ups. They were becoming easier and easier for him to do. After he finished them he was sweating pretty well. He did his sit-ups slowly like his sensei taught him. About an hour later he was done with everything and he looked up to see the sun poking out of the trees. He smiled. Today was going to be a good day. He could feel it. He got Kakashi's attention and told him he was done. "Alright Naruto, come inside. We're going to have to do something about that orange jumpsuit of yours," Kakashi said, leading him into the house. When they got inside Naruto saw that his sensei had laid out several different shirts and pants for Naruto to pick from. "But I like my jumpsuit, Kakashi-sensei. Why do I have to get rid of it?" he asked. The Jounin explained that no ninja would be caught dead in that thing and that he was outgrowing it anyway. "Come on Naruto, can't you see? That damn jumpsuit is completely atrocious," were the thoughts of the older man. "I brought a decent selection of clothes for you to choose from. I know you like orange, so I had this pair of pants made specially." He held out a pair of black cargo pants that had orange pockets and flame-like designs going up them in line with the pockets. "What do you think Naruto?" he asked his student. Naruto looked at them for a second and then grinned. "I love them Kakashi-sensei." "Thank you. And as for the shirts, I'll keep the crimson one, the blue one, the black one, and the orange one." Kakashi smiled at his student's happiness. He had kept all but one shirt, a green one. He picked them all up and handed them to Naruto. "Here you go. Think of it as a job well done gift. I'll have some more just like them brought so that you can start wearing them regularly." The boy smiled and took the clothes. "Thank you Kakashi-sensei. I won't forget this," Naruto said before disappearing into his room. When he came out he was wearing the crimson shirt and the black cargo pants. The shirt had a black version of the Uzumaki swirl on the front, and it was long-sleeved, just like all the others, except for the black one, in which the swirl was orange. All in all the boy looked good. "They look good on your Naruto. I have damn good taste. If I do say so myself," the Jounin joked. "Now you better get to the academy. You would want to be late, would you? Oh, and by the way, at the end of every week I'll be giving you a short test on what you've learned, to make sure that you're paying attention." Naruto grimaced at the thought of being tested twice a week, but smiled nonetheless. "Alright Kakashi-sensei, I'll see you when I get home," he said and was out the door before the Jounin could get another word in. It didn't take long for Naruto to get to the academy, and when he got there he realized that he was a few minutes early. When he walked into class, almost everyone noticed the change in clothing. He heard them talking softly, wondering why the young blonde had given up his jumpsuit. "Nice to see you Naruto, I like the wardrobe change," his lazy friend Shikamaru said. Shikamaru Nara was an average boy for his age. He was taller than a few of his classmates, but shorter than others. He had calculating black eyes that could see a lot more than even the best jujutsu, or eye technique users. He had an IQ of over 200, but unless you pushed him to show it he wouldn't. He wore a light gray jacket over a mesh armor shirt. His hair was put up in a pineapple-like ponytail. His pants were dark gray in color. All in all he was your average boy. The blonde boy grinned. "That's not all that's changed, Shika. Starting today everyone will see the real Naruto Uzumaki. I've decided to quit being a dumbass." The Nara boy was wide-eyed, so I was right, it was all an act. He thought and said, "Good, been wondering when you'd finally decide to show up." Iruka arrived at the classroom and started to take roll. When he called Naruto's name he noticed the change in clothing, but something else was different about the boy as well. He was calmer, more collected, and that for Naruto was weird. After roll call he went on to lecture the students about some of the village's early history. He told them about some of the exploits of Hashirama and Tobarama Senju, and how the village was founded on a truce between the Senju and the Uchiha. Iruka was a man of average height and build. He had brown hair that he kept in a ponytail, dark eyes and a scar that ran across the bridge of his nose, which he received sometime when he was younger. He wore the standard Konoha shinobi outfit complete with forehead protector, sandals, and flak jacket. His sleeves were rolled up about a fourth of the way. He taught well in Naruto's opinion, but he did get a bit boring sometimes. After the lecture it was time for shuriken and kunai practice. They all filed out of the classroom and went to the academy training grounds. which was right outside. The students lined up, with Naruto being around the middle behind Choji. Choji Akimichi had spiky, brown hair, swirl marks on his cheeks, and like the rest of his clan, he had a more robust physique. Since his childhood, he had always been quite husky, which was a necessity in his clan to perform their techniques since they converted calories to chakra. Choji wore black shorts, a long white scarf, a short-sleeved, green haori, over a light green shirt with his clan's obligatory kanji for food on it, small, hoop earrings, and his legs and forearms were wrapped in bandages. They each went through the practice, throwing 10 kunai and 10 shuriken. Most of the students hit and missed around 5, Sasuke Uchiha being the exception. He hit 10 on kunai and 9 on shuriken. Choji was up now. He hit the first 3 kunai, missed 1 and hit 3 more, missing the rest. He didn't do as well on shuriken, missing 6. Finally it was Naruto's turn. He was determined to show just how much they didn't know. He threw all the kunai at once, and hit with all but 1. They went in a straight line up and down the post they were aimed at. This surprised everyone, Irika especially. What's going on? He usually misses all of them and yet he's able to throw 10 at once and hit all but 1? Today just isn't making any sense, he thought to himself. Very good Naruto, it looks like you've improved immensely since your last score on kunai, which was 0. Can you show me that again? Irika asked him, wondering if it had just been a fluke. Naruto retrieved his kunai and did the throw again, resulting in the same 9 out of 10. Alright, good. Now shuriken, he said. Naruto retrieved shuriken from the pile, and this time he threw them separately. The difference between him and everyone else though was that he threw them so fast that only Irika and Sasuke were able to follow. When he was done they had all hit, again in a straight line up and down the post. Wow! What the hell happened to Naruto over the weekend, were the thoughts of his classmates, as Irika asked him to show him once again. He repeated the process, and it resulted in 10 out of 10 again. Very good Naruto, you're now neck and neck with Sasuke when it comes to throwing weapons. Next up is Ino Yamanaka. Naruto went and sat down to watch the rest of practice. After everyone was finished, Uruk announced that they would be practicing in taijutsu before class ended. They were to each find a partner and start sparring. Hey Sasuke! I challenge you! He said loudly as he usually did when this part of the class started. Alright Dobe, but you'll just lose again like you always do. The Uchiha will always be superior, Sasuke stated as they each got into their stances. Naruto's was different than everyone remembered from last time he and Sasuke had fought. The rest of the class noticed this. We will see if you're still saying that after I kick your ass, Naruto said, and rushed the boy with unexpected speed. The Uchiha ducked under a right hook and went for a knee to Naruto's chest. The attack missed. Naruto had went around the knee and for a sweep kick to Sasuke's legs. This attack landed and Sasuke was on the ground. Naruto waited for the boy to get up and as soon as he had, Naruto went for a punch to the raven-haired boy's shoulder. Sasuke ducked under and went to punch Naruto's face. The attack landed and the blonde skidded back a few feet. By this time everyone had stopped fighting to watch. Naruto was still on his feet. He was angry now. He punched Sasuke in the gut, and then kneed him in the face. The Uchiha went into the air, grabbing his face at the pain, and Naruto took his chance. He grabbed the boy's foot and slung him at the ground. Sasuke landed on his feet and went for a kick to the knee as soon as Naruto landed, and even though he had just landed on the ground, Naruto jumped over the kick and sent a spin kick of his own at Sasuke's head. The Uchiha ducked under it and punched Naruto in the stomach, but to his surprise the boy withstood the pain and punched Sasuke square in the jaw hard. The raven-hair boy went flying and Irika called the match. That's enough, you two, he said, although he was very impressed with how much Naruto had improved. This match goes to Naruto. Everyone in the class was dumbstruck. Where the hell did Naruto go, and who is this guy? He's good, they were all thinking except for Shikamaru. Show off, he said to the blonde. What's up with Naruto today? He seems like he's changed a lot. Dare I say it, but he's almost as cool as Sasuke, were the thoughts of one Ino Yamanaka, who actually surprised herself at the thoughts she was having about her fellow blonde. Ino was a fair-skinned girl of average height with green eyes. Her most noticeable trait was her long, pale blonde hair, which was always seen in a high ponytail with bangs covering the right side of her face. Her hair reached down to her waist. She wore a short purple vest-like blouse with a raised collar, a purple apron skirt that is cut off on the sides and bandages on her stomach and legs. She also wore purple and white elbow warmers with this. At this particular moment she had a slight pink tinge to her cheeks as she thought about how Naruto had just beaten her longtime crush Sasuke. Naruto just grinned and said, "What? I thought it was about time I showed that prick who he was really dealing with." Everyone in class heard that, and a few wondered what he meant by really dealing with. Sasuke came over to him and smiled, actually smiled at the blonde. He had caught the real meaning behind what he had said. "So you've been acting this whole time, Naruto? That was a damn good match, I needed it. I'll be sure to kick your ass next time," though the Uchiha said, stunning the blonde. It was as if the Uchiha had a new respect for the blonde, which in truth he did. He had never been beaten that badly by anyone except for his brother. It just meant that he would have to train harder to beat Naruto the next time. From that day he decided that Naruto would be his rival. Naruto didn't know this, of course, but the Uchiha would strive to beat him even worse than he had lost. Class was over for the day, so they all headed home. Most were wondering what had changed in Naruto, and when. Little did they know that the Naruto they knew was only a cover to gain friends. Naruto hurried home, and when he got there, Kakashi was waiting on the couch. Naruto excitedly told him what happened that day and how he had beaten Sasuke. He also told him what the boy said. The Jounin smiled. That's good, Naruto. From what you're telling me, Sasuke respects that you're someone that he can be given a challenge by in the future. Make sure to keep that rivalry alive. You two will strive to make each other better, even if you aren't on the same team. I'm sure the rest of your class was very surprised in the change that you've gone through as well, he said, and Naruto agreed. No one except for Shikamaru and Sasuke had even known what to make of it. He was glad that he had taken the old man's advice and shown everyone who he truly was. Alright, Naruto, from now until you're ready to learn your father's style, you will be sparring with a clone of me. Your goal is to land a hit and make the clone dispel before you graduate. If you can do that, I'll teach you the jutsu I'm using to make the clone. You'll need it if you're going to graduate in the first place. You'll never have the control to make a simple illusionary clone by then, with your reserves. Naruto nodded excitedly about the prospect of possibility learning a new jutsu. Kakashi summoned a shadow clone and Naruto got started on trying to land a hit. He had no success whatsoever. When he would almost land a hit, the clone would dodge at the last second. This went on for about an hour before Kakashi dispelled the clone and told him it was time's up. The scarecrow ninja jumped down from his perch and told Naruto that he would get it eventually. So you've gotten to the point of leaf sticking that it's time you go to the next level. Pebble sticking. This will be much harder because of the added weight of the pebbles and because of your large reserves. I want you to start with on and hold it for as long as you can. When you can hold it for half an hour, you can add another. Your goal for this exercise is 20 pebbles, 10 on each arm. Naruto got to work, but could only hold the pebble for 5 minutes before it dropped. Damn. This is way harder than I thought. He worked on holding the pebble for another hour and could only get to stick for 10 minutes. After they were done with chakra control, Kakashi had him finish learning the lightning style jutsu that they had been working on. Naruto worked hard in it and finally had it down at the end of that hour. Kakashi was impressed. This boy was learning fast. Alright, Naruto, I think that's it for lightning style until you've gotten all the others down. How about we move on to an element that isn't one of your affinities? I'll even let you pick. Naruto grinned and told Kakashi that he wanted to learn fire style next. Kakashi explained the basis of fire style jutsu, and that Naruto would have to put a chakra coating over the inside of his throat to keep from being burned when he did the jutsus. Naruto listened to his teacher and began to start trying to coat his throat with a layer of chakra. Kakashi then explained how to execute fire style, fire wave jutsu, and showed him what it would look like. As Naruto got to work on learning the jutsu his sensei was trying to teach him, said sensei jumped back up into the tree and started reading his pervy book again. Naruto looked to be having quite the time with this jutsu, and it seemed like it would take him a while to learn it. Thank Kami. At least there's something that will challenge this student of mine, he thought as he watched the blonde work while he read. Irika Yumino was on his way to the Hokage's office to talk to him about a certain blonde student of his. When he got there, he was let into his office, and when he got inside, the Hokage smiled. He was expecting the Chunin to come and see him today. Hello, Irika, what brings you here today? He asked the Chunin. Well, sir, Naruto has changed since last week. He was at the academy, and I was wondering if you knew anything about it. The Hokage chuckled and asked Irika to tell him about this change of Naruto's. Well, first he came in dressed differently today. He also seemed calmer and more reserved. When I would ask a question, he would have his hand up with the right answer before I even finished. On top of that, he's now on par with Sasuke in weapon throwing skills, and he beat the Uchiha rather badly in a taijutsu match today. Everyone in my class were completely surprised by this change, except for one, Shikamaru Nara. He seemed like he knew all along. Can you please tell me what's going on with Naruto, Hokage-sama? Irika explained and then asked. The Hokage laughed, actually laughed. Well, it seems that young Naruto has fooled us all, Irika. The only explanation that I can give you for his change is that the Naruto you saw today was the real Naruto. He has been acting like a deadlass so that he could befriend his classmates easier. He is very intelligent in truth and skilled as well. I gave him the advice to take off the mask he has been hiding behind a few nights ago, and it seems as if he has done just that. The Hokage smiled, thinking of the other night and his conversation with the blonde. Irika was surprised to say the least. So you're saying that he's been faking it this entire time? That he isn't the deadlass, but really that he an intelligent and skilled ninja? Well, this is a surprise. I wonder why none of us higher-ups never caught on to his act. Irika said, and the Hokage told him that the boy had fooled them all. The only one that knew was his friend Shikamaru, and that was only because Shikamaru was his friend and because the Nara was a genius in his own right. Irika nodded at this, knowing that the Nara had purposefully been getting mediocre grades the whole year. Irika had thought that he didn't want to stand out, or that he was simply lazy. In truth, he would have been right in both. Shikamaru was very adamant about being average. Of course, he didn't vocalize this, but it showed in every aspect of his life. So what am I supposed to do with this new Naruto? By the way things are going, he will give Sasuke a run for his money as Rookie of the Year. The Hokage just replied by telling him to teach him like all of his other students. Iruka nodded and the Hokage dismissed him. That's the way you show him Naruto, he thought privately. Back with Naruto, the blonde still hadn't made hardly any progress with the jutsu he was working on. He knew the hand signs and could do them perfectly, but when he did, he only blew out a few inches of fire from his mouth. It seemed as if he would never get this one down. He'd been at it for 3 hours now and Kakashi felt it was time to call it a night. Alright Naruto, that's enough for today, we will pick back up in the morning. Naruto nodded grimly and Kakashi reassured him that fire style was one of the hardest elements to get the hang of, other than wind. Naruto felt a little better after that, but he resigned himself to a new goal. If fire was one of the hardest elements to get, then he would be sure to master it as quickly as he could. They both went inside. I'll see you tomorrow Naruto, Kakashi said as he disappeared in a shunshin. Naruto went to go and get a shower, and then quickly fell asleep in his bed. He was exhausted. The next few days flew by for Naruto. He was either in the academy, training with Kakashi, or sleeping from exhaustion due to the latter. He still hadn't hit the clone and didn't think he would for a while, but he would damn sure keep trying. He was only up to 2 pebbles in chakra control, but it was slowly getting easier. As for the fire-style jutsu he had been working on, he was a lot closer to finishing it. He could now spray about 2 feet of fire from his mouth instead of a few inches. His relationships with his classmates had improved greatly now that they didn't think he was a dope. They respected him now as a fellow peer and skilled ninja. The guys talked to him about their hobbies, and even the girls seemed to start warming up to him. Today was the day he had been waiting for all week. Friday. It was the day at the academy that tests were given. He was determined to ace this one and the one that Kakashi would give him back home. He was in the middle of taking the test now, and realized that it was one of the easiest things he had ever done. All he had to do was listen during lectures and the answers were right there. He quickly finished the test and put his pencil down before dozing off until he heard the class bell ring. He sat upright and watched as Iruka-sensei picked up all the tests. After they were all picked up, he bid his class farewell until next week and they all left the classroom. Naruto raced home to take the test Kakashi had prepared for him. He noticed the glares of hatred that he got by the villagers, as usual, but he didn't care about them anymore. He was who he was and that wasn't going to change. As he neared the compound he slowed down a bit. He saw Kakashi waiting for him at the door and the jounin nodded at his student signaling that his test was inside. Naruto walked in the door and saw a piece of paper on the coffee table. Damn, another written test? He grimaced but sat down and started answering the questions as best he could. The questions were a lot harder than they were at the academy, but he took his time and answered each one fully and to the best of his ability. When he was finished with the 25th question he walked outside to tell Kakashi that he was done. That was hard, Kakashi-sensei. I'm done now though, so get your lazy ass in there and grade me. Naruto joked with his sensei. He walked out into the yard and looked around. Man, he loved this place. It was so peaceful and quiet here, and also out of the way of everything. He had thought about putting a small pond in the back that he could fill with fish, but that would have to wait until after he graduated in 3 more years. He'd need to go on more than a few missions to get that much money up. Still, he loved to fish and his backyard would be the perfect place for that to happen. He wouldn't be bothered, and he was sure Kakashi would spend time chatting with him at the pond, when they weren't training. He looked up, the sun was shining brightly and the leaves of the trees were fluttering in the wind. He was brought out of his daze by Kakashi, who had finished grading the test. Very good Naruto, you only missed 1 out of all 25. Here is your test back. He gave Naruto the test and the blonde saw that the one he missed was about the exercises for chakra control. He was supposed to name all of the ones they had gone over, but he had forgotten to put the 2 he himself had worked on. Kakashi-sensei, that isn't fair. I thought you were only talking about the ones from the academy, which are chakra leaping and reinforced sprinting. Kakashi laughed and told him that he had said all the chakra control exercises. If he had wanted just those to, the question would have mentioned the academy. Naruto begrudgingly agreed and Kakashi suggested that they get to work. Naruto spent an hour trying with no luck to hit the thrice-damned clone. In the end he was no closer than when they started the exercise. He then started back on chakra control. He stuck 2 pebbles to his skin. He was finally able to hold them both for half an hour, so he added a third. After 4 minutes they dropped. Damn it, this exercise is so hard. He exclaimed and tried again until he was able to keep them there for a full 10 minutes, if only barely. After control it was back to ninjutsu. The blonde was determined to master fire style, fire wave today. He worked on it for 3 more hours until it started getting dark. He was so close. He tried one more time and finally was able to hit the 3-foot mark and spread the flames around him in almost a semicircle. Finally! I finally did it, Kakashi-sensei! He yelled when he got to that point and the jounin watched as he performed the jutsu just as he was supposed to. Kakashi smiled. Good job, Naruto. Tomorrow we will work on your next jutsu, the fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. This will be a much harder jutsu to master because you will have to infuse enough chakra into each fireball to make it sustain flame for at least 15 feet. The jounin explained and the blonde grinned like he usually did at the prospect of learning a new jutsu. Let go to Ikarakas tonight. You've earned it, Naruto, Kakashi said, knowing that the boy responded well to rewards of ramen. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. Let's go. Naruto took off running towards his favorite restaurant of all time. When he got there, Kakashi was already there. Hey, no fair. You used Shunshin, didn't you? You've got to teach me that someday, sensei. The Jounin laughed as they headed inside. The ramen stand was empty. Tucci welcomed them and asked for their order. Kakashi ordered a chicken ramen and Naruto ordered his usual 3 bowls of miso. They ate while talking about the training, and Naruto asked how long the Jounin thought it would be before he learned all the jutsu that he had picked. Well, Naruto, at the rate you're going, I would say it's still another 2 years before you master them all. Some of those jutsu aren't even taught to genin, let alone academy students. You're doing really well. Naruto frowned for a second because he thought that it would have taken him less time. Then he smiled at the praise of his sensei. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. I know I wouldn't be learning this fast without your help. You've helped me understand each of the jutsu inwards and outward. That's the only reason I'm learning so fast. Kakashi thanked him for the vote of confidence, but told him that it was the hard work and dedication he put into learning that was the reason for him picking up on the jutsu so quickly. Naruto smiled at that, and they finished eating their meals. Kakashi paid the shop owner, and they walked back to the compound. Once they got there, Kakashi bid his student farewell and left in a Shunshin. Naruto walked inside his house and looked around. He was tired after a long day of hard work. He looked over to where his mother's swords still stood. He couldn't use them yet for a couple reasons. He was still too short to wield them properly, and Kakashi-sensei had told him to wait until he graduated. When that day came, he would find a teacher for the boy. Little did the blonde know, his teacher was actually watching over him from afar at this very moment. Just like the Hokage had told her to do, he decided that until he could properly use his mom's weapons, he would hang them on the wall of the living room. It was a reminder of what was to come. After he hung them, he went and got a shower and went to sleep in his bed. More weeks flew by. Those weeks turned into months. Over this time, Naruto had become very strong for his age. The only student in his class able to keep up was Sasuke. They had fought every chance they got, with Naruto losing some and winning others. The other students in his class also started to train harder because of his growth and skill. None of them wanted to be left behind by Naruto, the ex-dead last of the academy. Even Shikamaru started to take his training more seriously and occasionally asked Naruto for a spar every now and then. He had progressed far in his tutelage under Kakashi. After about 3 weeks working on the Phoenix Flower Jutsu, he had it down to the point that it needed to be. He was up to 10 pebbles on one arm now, but could only hold them for 3 minutes. In chakra control his progress was slowing, but that didn't hinder the blonde. He kept at it every day. They had started to work on the water style, Water Whip Jutsu, and Naruto was getting close to mastering it already. It had been a month since they started on the jutsu though, so that was to be expected. Naruto still hadn't hit the clone even once, and it infuriated him to no end. After the second month of training, Kakashi had increased his weights to 20 pounds, which was a big difference. At first the blonde had a little trouble with his added weight, but after a few days of getting used to it he was at the speed he started at the beginning of their training, which was bearable for the blonde. Kakashi also let the blonde take his weights off to spar with a clone, but told him that it wouldn't count if he hit it. That changed their existing taijutsu regimen immensely. He would try and hit the clone with the weights, and then he would get his ass pummeled into the ground when he took them off. Kakashi made sure that the clone fought back, if only just a little then. Now he could move freely and easily with the added weight. Naruto had also started to read the books had gotten from his parents' library. He studied all of the books on elemental manipulation over and over again, because Kakashi wouldn't let him move on until he was on a genin team, with that subject at least. He had started reading the Genjutsu book as well, but knew that he would never be able to cast a successful one. The Sealing book was the last that he tried to read, and it was the most complex by far. He had read it 3 times now, and was only just starting to get a beginner's understanding of the complex art of sealing. It was now into the 6th month that they had been training, and today was a day that he had been waiting for weeks now. It was October 10th, Naruto Uzumaki's birthday. Today was the day 10 years ago that his parents had saved the village and sealed the fox inside of him. It made him proud of them every time he thought about it, and brought a smile to his face. He had asked the Hokage what he could do about having a birthday party, now that he had more than 2 friends. Hiruzen had told him that he could have the party at his house, but had to hide everything of Minato's and Kushina's beforehand. The blonde didn't like the idea of hiding who he was from his friends, but knew that he couldn't tell them yet. Naruto knew that he wasn't near strong enough to protect himself from whoever his mother and father's many enemies may have been. He also knew that once it was out, he would paint a target on his back. This was something he could not do yet, so for now, even though he hated it, he would keep the secret. He had been getting ready for the party for almost a week now. All of his friends from the academy were invited, and Kakashi of course. The house was clean of anything that remained of his mom and dad. He had taken it all and hidden it below in the library. After he was sure everything was hidden, he covered the trap door with a rug that covered the whole landing. The only thing that remained of his parents were the 2 swords, which he was just about to take down for the night. Leave them, Naruto. Anyone that comes tonight will not know anything about what they are or who they belong to. Your mother isn't really in the history books, After all, Kakashi said from behind him. Naruto asked the Jounin if he was sure that no one would know. The Jounin replied by putting them back on the wall. You should have at least one thing to remind you of them on your birthday, Naruto, he said. Now since it's your birthday, your training is suspended for the day. I want you to have fun and don't think about training. Also, I have something for you. It's a birthday gift. I'll bring it by whenever the party starts. I'm sure you'll get plenty of presents from your friends though. Kakashi smiled at his prized pupil and ruffled the boy's hair. The silver-haired Jounin told Naruto that he would be back in a few hours once the party started and disappeared in a shunshin. I can't wait till he teaches me that. Naruto thought and started getting everything ready for the actual party. The house was spotless, so he started putting out food and drinks for his friends to enjoy. After putting everything out, he decided to pull out Tales of a Gutsy Ninja. It had been a long time since he had last read any more in his dad's sensei's book. He started reading and before he knew it, 2 hours had passed and he heard a knock at the door. He bookmarked his place in the book and put it away before going to answer the door. It was Shikamaru and Choji, 2 of his best friends from the academy. Hey guys, you made it. You 2 are the first here, so come and sit down and have a drink, Naruto said cheerily. Tonight he was wearing all orange and black. He had the long-sleeve orange shirt and his usual cargo pants on. The 2 came in and smiled before getting a glass of punch and sitting down. Wow, Naruto, who knew you had a place this big? Where'd it come from? Choji asked in awe of the house. Naruto explained that the Hokage had given it to him as a birthday present a year ago. The old man felt sorry for me, so he set me up here. I love it though and honestly haven't thanked him enough, Naruto replied. Another knock at the door and Kiba Inuzuka, along with Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame came in. They all complimented him about the house and sat down with Shika and Choji. Pretty soon the whole place was filled with his friends from the academy. Even Sasuke showed up saying, well, I couldn't miss my rival's birthday now, could I? They were all sitting in the living room talking when Kakashi showed up with his trademark, you knew I was coming, and a small box in hand. Who's this guy? They all wondered. After everyone had arrived and Kakashi had been formally introduced as Naruto's friend, the party was in full swing. Everyone had a conversation going about something. Even the ever-shy Hinata was talking to Ino and Sakura. Naruto couldn't quite make out what they were saying, but none of it mattered to him. He had friend, and they were here celebrating his birthday. Shikamaru and Choji were talking about their clans. He and Sasuke were talking about different jutsu and their uses. He found the raven hair boy to be a good friend to talk ninja stuff with. He mentioned something about possibly coding a kunai in a fire jutsu and launching it. Naruto looked around at all the people in his house. They were all happy to be here, and that made him feel better than ever. Alright you guys, it's time for the birthday boy to have us sing to him, Kakashi said in a way that only he could. Most of his friends laughed at the weird Jounin, but started to sing happy birthday for him nonetheless. Kakashi motioned for him to get up there, so he walked over to the Jounin and looked out onto all of his new friends singing happy birthday to him. He did something he would never do in front of all these people. His eyes started to tear up. After they finished singing, while wiping them away, he told all of his friends, thank you all for being here with me tonight. I've never really had celebrated my birthday with friend before, or even had friends to celebrate with. This means so much to me, more than you guys will ever know. He walked into the circle of all of his friends, and they all hugged him, not realizing how hard a life the blonde had really had. Kakashi looked on this, and was happy for his student. I'm glad that he finally has what he needed. The friendship and recognition of his peers. He thought before graciously breaking it all up by saying, alright, present time, who wants to go first? They all laughed, and just set their gifts onto the kitchen table. Naruto walked up and started looking through them. The first he opened was Shikamaru's. It was a square, but not tall box. When Naruto opened it, he grinned. It was a shogi board. That's so you can learn to play, and I can actually give you a challenge for once, the pineapple-haired boy said, smiling at the blonde. Naruto told him that he'd definitely take him up on that challenge once he learned to play. The next present was Choji's, and it was a coupon for his family's barbecue restaurant. He had laughed and said that Naruto should come by and eat something other than ramen for a change. Naruto thanked him and told him that he would. He got a novel from Sakura. She told him that she really liked it, so she thought that he might too. It looked like a romance novel, which Naruto thought he would never get into, but he thanked her for it, smiling. After that, the night went by fast. He opened up all the gifts from his friends. He thanked each and every one of them over and over for coming to his party. They all ate cake and talked about the academy and what kinds of ninja they wanted to be. They all sat and talked for hours until it was time for them to be home. Naruto said goodbye to his friends and noticed that Kakashi had stayed behind. He wondered why and then remembered that the Jounin had never given him the gift he talked about earlier. Kakashi sat on the couch with Naruto and gave him one of his trademark eye smiles. I'm glad you have found friends that you care about, Naruto. It's what your parents would have wanted most for you. My gift for you is one that Minato gave to me a long time ago. I'm sure he has many more in the library, but I wanted you to have this one because it's special to me. He gave it to me as my sensei, and now I'm giving it to you, as yours. Kakashi opened the small box he held and pulled out a weirdly shaped kunai. It had 3 prongs and some sort of seal on the handle. This is one of your dad's Hiraishin kunai. He gave it to me so that he could be there anytime I was in danger. He was able to teleport to through the seal on the handle. I'm giving it to you because I want you to know that if you're ever in danger or need anything, I'll be there. The Jounin explained. Naruto smiled at that. Thank you, Kakashi-sensei. And thank you very much for the gift. It means a lot. Kakashi and Naruto continued to talk about his dad for a while, and then Kakashi had to leave for the night. I'll be over in the morning, and we will pick back up on your training, he said before disappearing. Alright, now that I'm alone, what to do, he thought. He looked over all of his gifts. Ino had given him a book on flowers. Sasuke had given him a scroll containing a fire jutsu, which he would definitely enjoy learning. It was the fire style, fireball jutsu. Kiba had given him a set of kunai and shuriken. Hinata-chan had given him a book on intermediate chakra control, which he looked forward to reading. The last gift he got was from Shino, and it was a book on insects. He liked all of his gifts very much. He decided that it was time to clean up and then get some sleep. He cleaned up the entire house of all the party stuff, and then went to get his shower. After his shower he decided to go and see the Hokage. It was his birthday after all. He walked outside and noticed the chilly breeze on his skin. It felt good. He walked all the way to the old man's office and the receptionist let him in. Hey Gramps, how you been? He said, smiling. The old Hokage wasn't all too surprised to see him. It was the boy's birthday after all. Hey Naruto-kun, sorry I wasn't able to make it tonight. Being the Hokage is a very busy job. Happy birthday, Naruto, he said and took a drag from his pipe. They talked for a while. Naruto told him all about his birthday and the gifts he got. Well, it seems as if you've had a very eventful night, Naruto-kun. I'm happy that you've made such good friends. I have something for you as well. Naruto asked what the old man had for him. Hiruzen got out of his chair and went to the picture of his dad. He pulled the right side outward and it swung open. He unlocked the safe behind it and pulled out a small key. This key unlock any door of your house. Keep it safe for me, Naruto. He handed the young blonde the key. Naruto thanked the Hokage and smiled before telling him that he needed to go home and get some sleep. The Hokage bid Naruto good night, and Naruto headed back to his house. When he got there, he knew exactly where to go. He walked through his home until he was in front of the locked door that he had almost forgotten about. He slid the key into the knob and turned it, unlocking the door. He slowly opened it, and fell to his knees when he realized what it was. There were tears in the boy's eyes now. The room had been his. It was his room when he was first born. He sat there for the longest time, just looking into what used to be baby Naruto's room. He smiled and stood up. His baby crib sat against the far right wall. There were many baby toys and playthings that he would have played with over the years. Everywhere he looked, he saw another memento from his parents. Then and there he decided that the room wouldn't be disturbed again. He smiled with tears still in his eyes, looking around him again. After he had filled his mind with memories of the room, he left it and locked the door once more. After that, our young Naruto drifted off to his bedroom and went to sleep. This had been the best birthday of his life. It was finally here. The day our favorite young blonde would become a full-fledged ninja, and Naruto was excited. These last 3 years had been hell for him, but it was all worth it. His training had been utterly grueling. Kakashi had not gone easy on him in the slightest. They worked every day to make him as strong as he could be. 6 months ago, the hard work they were doing paid off when he finally mastered the last of the jutsu he had picked for Kakashi to teach him. As of right now, he had 15 jutsu under his belt. About 3 months ago, he finally landed a hit on that damned clone of Kakashi's, making the silver-haired Jounin teach him the jutsu he had been using. It was the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Naruto had taken to it like a fish to water. His chakra reserves were so high that he was able to summon hundreds of clones at a time. This had surprised the hell out of his sensei the first time he had done it. Kakashi had begun to think of ways that they could use this to their advantage, while training. The last set of jutsu he had learned were the wind-style jutsus. Kakashi said that because they part of his major affinity, he would teach them to the boy last. He learned them very quickly. Over the last 3 years, Naruto had gotten exponentially stronger. Training every day with a Jounin had its benefits after all. He was up to 50 pounds on his weights, and he could move freely and easily with them. Kakashi had not increased them further because he didn't want the boy's growth to be stunted. His speed was now up to high Genin level with them on, and very low Chunin level with them off. He wasn't even close to a certain green spandex-clad Genin, just yet, but with another few years who knows. He had also been working on all of the elemental manipulations and was close to finishing the leaf exercises with each of them, but had mastered the first steps of wind and lightning manipulation almost a year ago now. He of course knew all of the Academy Jutsu, but still wasn't able to perform a simple clone. This was because he had such huge reserves thanks to his tenant. He had expected this, and besides, he now had the Shadow Clone Jutsu to make up for it. He and his tenant hadn't spoken yet, because Kakashi had forbidden Naruto from trying. He didn't want the boy to be influenced by the fox, and was afraid that if he let the blonde speak to the demon that it would try to gain freedom from the boy. This, however, wasn't true, but we can get to that later. His fellow academy students had all began to improve by leaps and bounds too, and by this time they were all mid to high Genin level. They looked to him for guidance in their training, and he had helped each of them train and given some of them element jutsu to learn for their birthdays. Speaking of birthdays, Naruto was now 13 and damned proud of it. His friends had given him a birthday party every year since he met Kakashi. He was very thankful to the Jounin and the Hokage for giving him the advice that helped him gain the friendships that he now had. Naruto and Sasuke had become very close, in the year and a half following his 10th birthday. His rival Sasuke had been able to keep up with him all this time, and they still continued to spar every chance that they got. Sasuke was now almost as strong as Naruto. They were neck and neck thanks to the fact that Naruto had introduced him to his training regimen soon after his birthday. Sasuke had come to him the day after and asked him to help him get stronger, so the blonde got Kakashi's permission and started to help his friend train. They trained together relentlessly and Naruto helped Sasuke in every way he could, even teaching Sasuke some of the fire and lightning jutsu he had learned. Sasuke coincidentally shared lightning nature with Naruto, but unlike the blonde he had a strong fire nature, instead of wind. 6 months after his birthday, they were training together and Sasuke asked him about why the villagers hated him. Flashback. The sun was starting to set. Sasuke and Naruto were finally done sparring. Sasuke won this one, and at this point they were dead even with wins and losses. They fought each other almost every day now. It was almost ritualistic for the two rivals. Dope. That was a good match. Guess we're even. How Sasuke had been being surprisingly open towards the blonde as time went by. He shared his emotions and talked a lot more when it was just him and Naruto. Team, just you wait. I'll beat you next time. Naruto chuckled and replied. Sasuke looked at his rival, contemplating something. He had started noticing the looks the villagers gave him. The looks of disgust and contempt, the mutterings and whispers behind the blonde's back. He wondered about it more and more with each day that passed. Naruto. Naruto looked up surprised at hearing his name from the raven-haired boy next to him. Sasuke looked at his blonde friend questioning with his eyes. Why do the villagers hate you? Naruto started sweating inwardly at the question. He hadn't been expecting this in the slightest. Oh crap, what am I supposed to do? If I tell him, he's going to feel the same way as they do. He thought, worried that he would lose his best friend. Sasuke could see that his friend was worried. Naruto, whatever it is, I'm not going to look at you any differently. We aren't best friends for nothing, you know. Do you remember the story Iruka-sensei told us about how the 4th Hokage killed the Kyuubi? Naruto asked the raven-haired boy. Sasuke nodded and Naruto then proceeded to tell Sasuke the real story. How the 4th couldn't kill the Kyuubi, so he sealed it into a baby boy. He told Sasuke that he was Kyuubi's container. His friend was shocked. He felt sorry for his friend, knowing that the whole village hated him for something he couldn't even control. It was absurd that they would come to such a conclusion. I'm sorry, Naruto. Sasuke looked at his friend with an empathetic gaze. Don't be. I've dealt with it my whole life, Sasuke. Nothing's changed. Naruto replied. With a little time Sasuke realized that his friend was right. Nothing had changed in the slightest. Flashback end. Something had happened about a year after Naruto confessed about his tenant, that Naruto thought the boy would never come back from. His whole clan had been slaughtered by Sasuke's older brother, and it tore his psyche to shreds. The raven-haired boy had changed completely from Naruto's best friend to someone that he had barely been able to talk to. The blonde couldn't blame him though. He had no idea how he would have reacted to something so tragic and horrible. After it happened he tried over and over to get Sasuke to talk to him, to no avail. It was like he shut himself off from the world and all of his friends. Naruto never gave up on him though, and finally 8 months ago he had made sort of a breakthrough with his best friend and rival. Flashback. It was a day at the academy like any other, and it was time for taijutsu spars. Naruto yelled out to Sasuke, who, lately, had just been finding the weakest opponent he could and utterly destroying them until today. Naruto was determined to get his friend to fight him this time. He knew that the best way they could talk things through would be through their fists. Hey Uchiha, stop fighting weaklings and actually live up to that name of yours. Fight me. The Uchiha had denied all of his other requests to spar, but Naruto had hit a nerve with the boy today. He replied like all the other times, but this time he got up and into a fighting stance across from Naruto. It was the standard Uchiha stance. Naruto had seen it 100 times, and knew a little about what to expect from his friend. The blonde grinned and got into his own fighting stance, which was the beginnings of the Roaring Dragon style. Kakashi had started teaching it to him a few months earlier, and he hadn't shown anyone yet. The Uchiha hadn't shown any outward tell that he was surprised, but in truth he was. He knew that Naruto would never show something off unless he had been working on it for a while. It reminded him of when the blonde had shown him the completed fireball jutsu. Sasuke had complimented him saying it was just as good as his own, and then smiling at the blonde. The two rushed each other, Sasuke going for a strike to Naruto's face first. Naruto countered by ducking and hitting him hard in the knee. The Uchiha had trouble moving after that, but kept on pressing the blonde. Naruto kept going for the minor vital spots as his style dictated. Soon the Uchiha was in really bad shape. He had been beaten and he knew it. He kept going though, not willing to admit defeat this time. He threw a punch at Naruto, which the blonde blocked. He looked at his friend. Sasuke, why don't we stop this? The blonde asked, knowing how much his friend had to be hurting physically. I will not be beaten by you again. My clan is superior, he said, and kept attacking blindly with rage. Naruto soon had him on the ground. He tried to get up but couldn't. Stop acting like such a victim, Sasuke. I know how horrible it must have been to watch what your brother did, but you can't let it consume you. Get off your lazy ass and train until you drop, and when the time comes for your revenge I'll help you kill that bastard. Sasuke had been shocked to hear the blonde say this. What would you know about lost Naruto? You never had a family, you could never know what I'm going through. The Uchiha replied, still on the ground. Naruto picked the boy up off the ground and said, You're right, I don't know what it's like to lose someone. I never had those bonds to begin with. I do know that if I ever lost one of those precious to me, including your dumbass, I'd want revenge for them. I know that acting sorry does nothing. You know what kind of life I've led so far. How long do you think I felt sorry for myself before I started trying to change it? Well, let me tell you, it was years before I finally decided to pick myself up and get stronger, to show this village that I'm worth the trouble I give them. Sasuke looked at Naruto, who for the first time in almost 2 years had tears in his eyes. If you want to feel sorry for yourself, fine, but don't expect me to. I know you're better than that, Sasuke. I will help you get your revenge one day. Believe it. Naruto made his trademark promise of a lifetime to the boy that had become one of his closest friends. Flashback end. Sasuke had started to change after that, from his brooding pity-filled self, back to the friend that Naruto knew. There was still a darker side to the raven-haired boy, even now, but slowly he was coming back. They still trained together very often. Naruto had also been working on his ceiling, which he was slowly improving at. He was still nowhere near even intermediate level, but the blonde worked hard. He had finished all of the beginner chakra control exercises that Kakashi had for him as well. Pebble sticking had been the last for beginners. Kakashi now had him working on tree walking, which had been hard at first. He was slowly getting higher and higher up the tree each day, though. He had developed a more extensive routine now. He would get up before Kakashi got there and walk as far as he could up the tree until Kakashi got there. Then he would do his workout, which was up to 250 of everything with a few stretches added beforehand. After his workout it was off to the academy where he would read over one of his beginner element books. When he got home he and the clone would spar in taijutsu. He was beginning to get the hang of his father's style now, and had to admit that it was extremely lethal. After that he would work on the tree walking exercise for another hour. Then he would spend the next 3 running through each of the jutsu he had learned several times, trying to speed of his hand sign forming. After ninjutsu he and Kakashi would spar in all aspects of the shinobi arts. The silver-haired jounin never held back, and Naruto had yet to even land a hit on the man. After their spar Naruto would work on one of the elements specifically. He worked on a different one each day except Saturday, which was calligraphy day. He needed to be able to write perfectly, if he hoped to get any better at sealing. After working on the elements he would go inside, as it was usually dark by this time, and read one of the many books that he had been studying. After that he would get a shower and either go to sleep or to spend time with one of his friends. He and Shikamaru played shogi regularly, and he had been able to give the pineapple-haired boy a run for his money on several occasions. He and the girls of his class went to dinner all the time at Ichiraku, but he didn't really feel anything for any of them yet. His crush for Sakura had gone away a long time ago when he had realized that she only had eyes for Sasuke. He also had no idea how any of them felt for him though. When he and Choji spent time together it was usually eating barbecue at his family's restaurant. He enjoyed his time there very much, although he got many glares from the villagers that ate there. He overlooked it though. That aspect of his life would probably never change and he knew it. When he and Kiba hung out it was usually Naruto helping the boy train. He liked helping all of his friends train and did whenever he could. Naruto woke up early on the morning of the graduation exam and began to train. He knew that training stopped for nothing, not even the day he became a ninja. Kakashi got there early, knowing that his favorite student would already be up. Naruto! Come down here. The blonde was surprised and fell down to the ground. Ow wow, he groaned as he got up. Kakashi looked at the shirtless form of his student. The boy had changed physically over the last few years as well. His body was now a chiseled machine. His muscles were lithe and able to move quickly, and he never wasted a movement. He had grown taller too, now standing at around 5 foot tall. He wasn't the tallest student in his class, but he wasn't the shortest either anymore. All in all, he had grown into a fine young soon-to-be genin. He still wore the different colored shirts and the black cargo pants, but he had outgrown the first set a year ago when he had hit a small growth spurt. Why don't you take the day off? We will pick up tomorrow with your team. That way they can get used to the way you train. Kakashi told the boy. Naruto had picked up on the fact that Kakashi had said we. Wait, so does that mean you're going to be my jounin sensei when I get my team? Naruto asked, relieved that that would be the case. Kakashi smiled at his student's attention to detail. Well, now that the cat's out of the bag I guess I can't lie to you. Yes, I'll be your sensei on Team 7, Kakashi replied, giving the boy a nice smile. Naruto was even more relieved at hearing it. He hadn't wanted to change to another sensei. In his mind no one would be able to teach him as well as Kakashi sensei had. Alright, well, since I'm taking the day off, do you want to go inside and get some breakfast? He asked. The jounin nodded and they went inside. Naruto cooked the two of them eggs and bacon for breakfast and they ate, talking about what it would mean for Naruto to finally be a genin. You'll be going on missions as a team. You'll do pretty much everything you can think of with your new team. You'll train together and learn from each other as well as from me, Kakashi told the blonde. After they ate, it was time for Naruto to go to the academy for his test and to receive his headband. Before he left, Naruto said, "You had better not be late, Kakashi." Then he grinned in his now trademark foxy way. Kakashi laughed at this and decided then and there that he would be. After Naruto left for the academy, Kakashi shunshined to the Hokage tower. He was supposed to have a talk with the Hokage and the other jounin about the teams that they would be given. He already knew that the Hokage would give him Naruto, but hadn't the slightest idea about who his other two genin would be. Hiruzen told him to enter, not showing that he was surprised that the silver-haired jounin was on time for a change. The other jounin, however, didn't show him this courtesy. "Where's the fire, Kakashi? I wasn't expecting you here for at least another 3 hours." Asuma, who was the Hokage's son, said and laughed, along with the rest of the jounin there. The only one that didn't laugh was a young woman with dark brown hair and crimson eyes. She had a very nice figure, and her name was Kurenai if Kakashi remembered correctly. It wasn't a surprise to him that she hadn't laughed, she had only just become jounin, after all. "Well, I have to be here to make sure I get who I want the most. Now don't I, Asuma?" he replied in a cool manner. A tick mark appeared on Asuma's head. "Alright, calm down you two, we need to get this meeting started. There have been a few changes in the grades of the students in the last couple years, so the roster isn't the same as it would have been if things had stayed the same. Naruto and Sasuke are now neck and neck with each other for Rookie of the Year. If Naruto's grades had stayed the same, he would have been put on the same team as the Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, who has the best grades of the females, with Hinata Hyuga right behind her." The jounin in the room nodded, knowing where this was going. "There are 6 genin that we must decide where to place. These genin are as follows: Hinata Hyuga, Shino Aburame, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Kiba Inuzuka, and finally Naruto Uzumaki. The 2 sensei that get to pick between the 6 are Kakashi Hatake and Kurenai Yuhi. However, Naruto will be going to Kakashi and Sasuke will be going to Kurenai. I believe that Sasuke will do well with Kurenai, seeing as how she excels in Genjutsu, which coincides with Sasuke's Sharingan, which hasn't awakened yet. The reason I'm splitting Naruto and Sasuke up is because of their respective skill. Putting them on the same team would make the teams unbalanced. Do we all agree?" The Hokage finished and the jounin nodded, knowing the truth in the old man's words. They couldn't have the Rookie of the Year and his runner-up on the same team. "Hokage-sama, as you well know, I have the Sharingan, and once Sasuke's awakens, I will have to take over some of his training. I was thinking that during this time you could send Kurenai and my team on a few joint missions together. It won't take long for me to train the boy to master his eyes. If Kurenai accepts these terms, I'd also like her to train my team in the basics of Genjutsu. We can help each other's teams by training them in our respective strengths," Kakashi explained, noticing the look of approval on Kurenai's face. She thought that the idea was perfect. Kakashi wasn't going to deny that he also looked forward to spending a little extra time with the beautiful jounin beside him. He wouldn't be a closet pervert if did deny it. After all, "Hokage-sama, I agree to this. I think that it would work well. As for who I want for the third teammate, as Kiba is basically forced onto me since he is the current dead last in his grades and skill. I want Sakura. I think she could blossom into a very strong Genjutsu user, and Kunoichi. Not only that, but I think she has eyes for Sasuke, and I think that they would work well together." Kurenai said her piece, and everyone was surprised at the new jounin's eagerness to teach the pink-haired fangirl. Kakashi was elated by this time. He knew that he had gotten the better end of the deal. He could see that the last 2 had a lot of potential as well. "I accept the last 2 genin to be Shino Aburame and Hinata Hyuga onto my team, Hokage Zero-sama. I think that I can round the 2 of them out into the perfect team with Naruto," Kakashi said, hiding his smile. "It seems as if we are all in agreement then. I'm calling this meeting to a close with the approval of these 2 teams. You are all dismissed," Hiruzen said, thanking Kami that it hadn't broke out into an all-out fight between the 2 jounin. "Yes, Hokage-sama." All of the jounin chorused and disappeared in multiple shunshins. Naruto's run to the academy was uneventful. When he got there and walked into the classroom, he was greeted by all of his friends and classmates from what would come to be known as the Leaf Nine. He greeted them all and sat down waiting on Iruka-sensei to get there. When the Chunin arrived, it was time to get down to business. "As you all know, this will be most likely your last day at the academy. If you pass the genin exam today, you will be known as full-fledged ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village. I am very proud of you all. Now, when I call your name, you'll come up here and be given your test." Iruka went through most of the names in the class before he got to Naruto's. Sasuke, Sakura, Hinata, and Shino had all passed so far, along with other nameless students that no one cared about. "Naruto Uzumaki," Iruka said, and Naruto walked down the road to the front of the class. "Alright Naruto, I want you to perform a transformation. You may transform into anything that you wish." Naruto took this as a chance to screw with his academy teachers one last time, and used his very own sexy jutsu to transform into a very scantily clad, very well-developed blonde female. Needless to say, all of the males in the room had nosebleeds and Iruka fell backwards comically. He broke the jutsu and turned back into his normal self. Ahem, well, as inappropriate as that was, you passed this section of the test, Iruka said, while wiping blood from his face. Next is substitution. Substitute yourself with this log. The Chunin instructed, and almost before he finished Naruto had switched places with the log. Good, now you are to do a clone jutsu. Make 3 clones. Naruto used the hand sign for the shadow clone jutsu, which shocked Iruka. He created 3 perfect and solid clones. Very good, Naruto. Not only are these clones, but they are shadow clones. Where did you learn this jutsu, and how can you even use it? Iruka exclaimed. Naruto replied with, well, a little birdie taught me the jutsu, and I can use it because I have very abnormally high chakra reserves. Too much to even be able to do a regular clone. He explained, shocking Iruka even more. Well, nonetheless you pass with flying colors, Naruto. Here is your headband. He handed Naruto the leaf headband, which Naruto accepted happily. He went to sit down in his seat as Iruka continued with the list. In the end, every one of his friends had passed. Iruka went on to say that he would be giving their team assignments today. He went through random names until he had reached Team 7. Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga and Shino Aburame. Team 8 will be Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Kiba Inuzuka. And since Team 9 is still active, we will be skipping it and moving on to Team 10, which is Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, and Choji Akimichi. After that it was more random names, but Naruto didn't care. He had gotten his team and he was very happy with who they were. Shino and Hinata were both quiet, but they were skilled for their age. Iruka told them that their sensei would be there to pick them up shortly, and left the room. After a while everyone's sensei had come except for Kakashi. It was the last straw for Naruto, and he got up muttering something about damned chronically late sensei, and started working on a trap that he knew would annoy his Jounin sensei to no end. In the end all he did was open the door a little and put an eraser into the top of the space, the door holding it there. Naruto-kun, are you sure that's a good idea? Our sensei is a Jounin, surely he wouldn't be tricked by something like that, Hinata said, wondering what had taken him so long with it in the first place. In the last few years she had gotten over her stutter, and was even considered bold at times. She still had a huge crush on her blonde teammate, but wasn't sure how he felt about her. She decided long ago that she would wait for the right time to tell him. Shino, however, was intrigued and wondered what would happen when the Jounin did finally open the door. Naruto sat back down and waited. Finally, a whole hour later, Kakashi arrived. While outside he saw the eraser and thought to himself, does he really think this will trick me? Oh well, I'll let him have this one, it's just an eraser after all. He opened the door, and the eraser dropped onto his head. It poofed and eraser dust went everywhere. That wasn't all though, Naruto had filled the eraser with glitter that he had gotten from Kami knows where. Said glitter now completely coated the Jounin's silver hair. Ha ha ha, that's hilarious. I knew you'd let me have this one since you were late, Kakashi-sensei, but it's even better than I thought. Love the new addition to your hair, by the way. Naruto was laughing hysterically and could barely get the word out. The other 2 genin could hardly hold in their amusement as well. What do you mean, Naruto? That was only an eraser, Kakashi said, as he took out a small mirror that all Jounin A and BU were required to carry. He looked at his hair, and his face fell. It now looked like a shimmering mess. It'd take weeks for him to get it all out, he groaned inwardly. That was not nice, Naruto, he said with a tick mark on his forehead, and the blonde just laughed harder. Well, now that I have a glittery hairdo, meet me on the roof and we can all introduce ourselves, the Jounin said and shined up there. The other 2 genin were laughing a little now. After they all calmed down they went up to the roof. Kakashi was waiting for them. He was furious at Naruto for what he'd done, but he would let it slide this time, especially considering what they would go through the next day. Good, now that you're all here I want you to introduce yourselves. Tell me your hobbies, likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future. Naruto, you can start. The Jounin looked at the blonde like he was going to kill him. Naruto paled, and said, okay, my hobbies are training, reading, and eating ramen. I like to have fun and spend time with my friends, and to train. I don't like the 3 minutes you have to wait when making cups of ramen. My dream for the future is to get stronger and become the Hokage, surpassing all of my predecessors, especially the 4th. He looked at Hinata and told her it was her turn. She blushed and said, my hobbies are reading and tending the flower garden at my family's compound. I like. She paused at this, and looked at Naruto blushing. My dislikes are the caged bird seal and the way the main branch members of my family treat the other members. My dream for the future is to become head of my clan and do away with such horrible customs. Kakashi wasn't surprised at this. He knew of how her family was. Over the last 3 years, she had become a lot less shy. Even Kakashi was surprised, as he had noticed this the first time they met at Naruto's 10th birthday party. This was in part due to her spending more time with Naruto and her other classmates. He really brought her out of her shell. Alright Shino, it's your turn, Kakashi said, looking at the insect user. My hobbies are caring for my insects and training. I like insects. I don't like people who kill them for no reason. My dream for the future is to become a good clan head for my clan. Shino's description of himself was very short, but everyone had expected this. The bug user was very reclusive, and quiet most of the time. Good, you all seem to have different views on the world and very respectable dreams. And he wasn't lying. His first impression of his new team was that he looked forward to teaching them. Naruto asked Kakashi to introduce himself. He told them that his hobby was training, but other than that he didn't really say much. After introductions were out of the way, he told them to meet him at Training Ground 7 for the test to see if they would proceed on as genin, or be sent back to the academy. He warned them not to eat anything or they would puke. At this all the new genin were surprised. I thought we had already become genin. Kakashi-sensei, what gives? Naruto asked. The jounin hadn't told him about this. Well, Naruto, you have. But all new genin are put through a test by their jounin-sensei to see if they are really ready to be genin. Only about 1/3 of you will pass, he explained. All three of them had shocked looks on their faces. They all worried about not being able to achieve their goals. See you tomorrow, the jounin said and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. After he had left, Naruto told his two friends that they should definitely eat in the morning, and then that he had to go. He house-jumped all the way to the forest, and then ran the rest of the way home. When he got there, Kakashi was nowhere to be found, so he decided that he should get some reading in and then go to sleep, so that he could be well rested in the morning. He fell asleep just as it was getting dark outside. The next morning Naruto woke slowly. He opened his eyes, feeling the effects of sleep fade from his system. He sat up in bed and realized what he had to do today. He jumped out of bed and went to go fix himself some breakfast. He was supposed to meet his team and Kakashi-sensei in 2 hours, so he assumed he had plenty of time to eat. After cooking the normal, eggs and bacon for himself, he sat down to eat. He knew that Kakashi wouldn't be visiting this morning, so he ate slowly. When he was finished eating, he washed the dishes he had dirted, and walked to his room to get dressed. He chose to wear the blue shirt today along with his usual cargo pants. As soon as he was done getting dressed, he made sure that he had everything he would need for his test today. He walked out of his house feeling refreshed and ready for whatever Kakashi threw at them. Soon he had arrived at the training ground, but he was a few minutes early. He decided to get a little chakra control work in, so he started walking up the tree nearest to him. His teammates walked into the training field and saw this. They both wondered how he was doing it. He saw them and lost his concentration. Damn, he thought as he fell. Landing on his feet, he greeted the two genin who were on his team. Hey guys, did you get good rest? We will probably all need it. They both told him they had and smiled. They all talked about what they thought the test would be as they waited for their sensei. About 30 minutes later he walked into the training field. He explained that they had until noon to get a bell from him. He held out 2 bells, showing them to them before clipping them to his belt. Leaving no room for questions, he told them to begin. They all scattered and hid themselves in the forest. They'd hidden pretty well, he thought, knowing where Shino and Hinata were immediately. What surprised him the most was that Naruto had not hidden. Instead, the blonde had gone for the direct approach. Summoning 10 clones, he charged Kakashi. They all went at him head-on, with Naruto staying behind. He started forming hand signs. When he was done, the clones jumped back. Lightning style, lightning bolt jutsu, he said, putting his hand out. A bolt of lightning struck at Kakashi. The jounin dodged easily and went after the real Naruto. He landed a hit quickly which dispelled the clone. What? A shadow clone? When? I would have seen him substitute, he thought, as the other Narutos were back to attacking him. He sparred with them for a while, playing with them and letting the time run out. Little did he know the real Naruto had already made contact with his teammates. Alright guys, from what I can tell, this whole test is like a trick question. Kakashi-sensei is trying to pit us against each other. I have no idea why, but we can't let him win, he said to Hinata and Shino. They nodded, because after thinking it over they had come to the same conclusion. Do you have a plan, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked him. Naruto nodded and explained his plan to them. They both agreed and all 3 of them scattered, getting started on setting up their parts. By this time Kakashi was finished dispelling all of the clones. I see, they were all clones from the beginning. It was all a distraction to give him to make contact with his team and form a plan. Good work, Naruto. I had little doubt that you'd see through my ruse. He stood in the middle of the field for a second before he heard Naruto yell, "Now!" And then he saw Shino's bugs and about 20 Narutos coming after him. The clones went to attacking him relentlessly. Hinata also entered into close combat with him. He was hard-pressed to fight it all off with his chakra already being drained by the insects. He couldn't afford to be hit by her gentle fist style. One of the clones almost clipped the jounin in the face, but he managed to dodge it. Hinata was going all-out offensive on Kakashi, almost hitting him several times, but the jounin was far too fast for her. While he was fighting the clones and Hinata, he felt something cut his waist. He looked around to find the kunai that had cut him, but there wasn't one. Wind style, great breakthrough. Naruto yelled and blew the wind style jutsu at him. To his surprise, though, it wasn't at full strength. What game are they playing with me, he thought, and then happened to look down. The bells were both gone. He looked in the direction the wind style had blown, and sure enough there stood Shino. He had both bells in his hand. The clones all dispelled and Hinata stopped her attack. Plan worked perfectly, guys. Good work, Naruto said, coming out of the forest. He had a grin on his face. So we got the bells as a team, Kakashi-sensei. That was what you wanted us to do, right? Naruto said. He grinned in his fox-like manner. Kakashi laughed and said, "Got it in one, Naruto? Not that I'm surprised. Good work, you three, you understood the real test and passed with flying colors. Today, Naruto and I will introduce you to what will become your new training regimen. He has been working on this training style since he was 9, and it's been very helpful to him. You both will want to get a set of beginner weights after today. I'd start at 10 pounds for now. They come in many different styles, and I'm sure that you will be able to find some that fit your own styles. Naruto, after we're done today, I want you to take them to Higarashi's weapon shop and help them out." "Yes, Kakashi-sensei." They all three chorused, relieved that they had finally become genin and passed Kakashi's test. Kakashi then told the two that were new to Naruto's regimen how it worked and what they would be doing every day from now on. Then he told them all to get started. Naruto began his exercises along with the other two. They both found them difficult, but after about 2 hours everyone was done. Naruto had been done for almost an hour now and was working on climbing trees. Next up was taijutsu. Kakashi set them each up with a clone and told them that they would be working towards hitting the clone. Naruto had obviously already completed this, so he was tasked with sparring with a fully active clone, who was kicking his ass like usual. After a while, Kakashi noticed that Shino only knew the academy-style taijutsu. He walked over to him and asked the boy if he felt that the style suited him. "Well, I only know this one, so I'm sure that there is another that would suit me better. I've never really focused on taijutsu though, sensei. I usually just let my insects do what they are meant to do and suck my enemy's chakra away." Kakashi answered by telling him that he would find a few styles that might be suited for the bug user more, and then explaining why learning taijutsu and being good at it was important even for a long-range ninja. If your opponent is too fast for your Kakeichu insects to drain their chakra, you may have to keep them busy with taijutsu and even ninjutsu. He let him get back to sparring with his clone after that, but focused on thinking about what might be best for him to use as a style. He glanced over to Hinata and saw that he hadn't hit the clone yet, but was very impressed with her knowledge of the Juken. It seemed to him that she needed to find a more fluid way to use the style. He theorized that it would help her connect more often and also be able to dodge out of the way of incoming attacks. "I'll have to ask Naruto if his parents had any variations of Juken when I talked to him about Shino's taijutsu," he thought. By now they had been sparring for about an hour, so Kakashi stopped them. "Now we're going to work on your control. I'm assuming you've both completed the leaf sticking exercise." The two of them nodded, and so he set them to the pebble sticking exercise. He told Naruto spar with his clone on the tree. The blonde nodded and got to it. After about 30 minutes, Hinata had completed the pebble sticking exercise, which hadn't surprised the Jounin. She was a Hyuga after all, and they all had amazing control thanks to their Juken style. He set her to climbing the tree, and she had it completed in half the time that she had completed the last exercise. Soon she was trying to hit his clone from the side of a tree, just like Naruto. Shino had a lot more problems when it came to his controls, so Kakashi told him to go back to the leaf exercise, but to go up to 10 leaves on each arm instead of the standard 5. The genin did so, and by the time their 2 hours were up he had finished with the 10th leaf. Next, Kakashi had the two newbies come to him so that he could check their chakra natures. Turned out that Hinata had a water affinity, and Shino had an earth affinity. He taught them both how to do a jutsu each and set them to work. Hinata's was the water style, water bullet, and Shino's was the earth style, mud wall jutsu. They both got to working on the jutsu. Looking at their progress, Kakashi guessed that they'd have them mastered to the point of use in combat by the end of the week. "Naruto, come here," he told the blonde who was still sparring. He walked over to Kakashi, and the Jounin told him that he would be beginning to learn a new aspect of the shinobi arts. This got Naruto excited and he asked which one. "You can come out now," Kakashi said to the trees. To Naruto's surprise, a female ANBU walked out onto the field. Kakashi told her to take off her mask and introduce herself to her newest student. She took off the mask. She had purple hair and a pretty face by normal standards. Her eyes were brown and she was wearing the normal ANBU attire. "Hello Naruto, my name is Yugao Yuzuki and I will be your kenjutsu teacher from now on. I hear that you would ultimately like to dual wield. I'm sorry to say that I am not able to teach you that aspect of kenjutsu as I only have ever used one sword. You will have to learn how to use that second sword of yours on your own. But you have a long way to go before you can even try that. We will be using practice swords until I feel that you are good enough to use a real one," Yugao explained to the blonde. He nodded, understanding that he could get killed if he made a mistake wielding a sword in real combat. She handed him his wooden sword and told him that he would use that for the time being. He nodded once again, excited as he could be to finally be learning how to use his mother's swords. They walked a ways into the clearing with Naruto following behind the female ANBU. She then began to show him basic kenjutsu kata, going through them slowly so that he could see and repeat them. He would repeat to the best of his ability, but sometimes he would screw up and she would hit him in a random spot on his body with the wooden sword and show him again. Ouch! "What the hell was that for Yugao-sensei?" he had said the first time she did it. They trained like that for another 2 hours. By this time the two new genin were exhausted and Naruto had welts all over his body. "Alright guys, time to call it a day. We will meet here at 7 tomorrow morning to train some more and then we will go on our first mission as a team. Go and get some rest," Kakashi told the three, and they were all thankful that their first day of hell was over. Little did they know, it was only beginning. Naruto took them to Higarashi's and helped them both pick out a set of beginner weights. Then they all went to their respective homes grumbling about hard-ass sensei. When Naruto stepped into his house, he felt more exhausted than he had all the times that he and Kakashi had trained together. He got a shower and began working on his elemental control until it was time for bed. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Yugao were in the Hokage's office. He had asked them both to come and report in on the team. What do you two think of them so far? The Hokage asked them, and Kakashi replied, well, Naruto is by far the strongest of the three, so as you know, his ninjutsu training has been stalled so that he can learn kenjutsu. Shino needs a better taijutsu style and to learn a few ninjutsu to be well-rounded, and I feel the same about Hinata. The original Juken is too rigid for her fluid movements, and I feel that finding a more fluid version of the style will benefit her greatly. They are both learning well and will most likely be ready for AC rank mission before any of the other teams. The Hokage nodded, expecting this, and asked Yugao, what about you? What do you think of Naruto's progress in kenjutsu so far? She told him that it would be a long time before he would be able to bring the swords into real combat, but felt that he was learning well. Hiruzen smiled at that, proud of the boy. Dismissing them both, he took a drag from his pipe and looked at some of the missions they would be given. The next day it was finally time for them to start going on missions, and Naruto got up excited as ever. It was still early, so he thought that he'd go to the training ground and get some control exercises going. When he arrived, the training ground was empty, so he summoned a clone and started to spar with it on the side of a tree. About a half an hour later his teammates arrived sporting their new ankle and wrist weights. Before he had gone home the day before, he showed them around Higarashi's weapon shop, and they had chosen the weights while they were there. Hinata and Shino saw what he was doing and followed suit, both working on their chakra control until Kakashi walked into the training ground an hour after they had arrived. He set them to their exercises and took his perch in a tree reading his favorite Ika Ika book. After they all finished their workouts, Kakashi told them it was time for their first mission together. He led them through the streets of the Leaf Village until they reached the Hokage Tower. Once inside the old man's room, they were told that they would be doing a D rank mission, which was to catch a cat named Tora. They set out excited to be doing a mission finally. An hour later they were in position to capture the demon cat, as Naruto had appropriately nicknamed him. The cat had clawed and scratched him a lot the first time they tried to catch him. Blondie, in position. Ready whenever you are, Naruto said over the radio. His teammates followed suit, as did Kakashi. When Scarecrow had given them the signal, they all jumped out after the cat, and finally captured him. Naruto had him in his grip, so the cat decided to claw his face to pieces. After everything calmed down, the team reported to Kakashi. We got him, Kakashi-sensei. The red ribbon on his ear marks him as the one we're looking for. Kakashi replied, telling them to meet him at the Hokage Tower. When they arrived, they walked in and handed the cat to its owner, who was an older obese woman that crushed him to death as soon as she saw him. The Genin team definitely saw why the cat kept running away. They were just glad that the mission was finally over. Naruto was mumbling something about a damned demon cat when the Hokage congratulated them on their first completed mission. Well done, you three. You have time for one more mission today, so here it is. He handed Kakashi a scroll. They were to walk the Inuzuka clan's dogs. After that first day, the next 2 months flew by quickly. They would wake up and train until Kakashi met them. Then they would exercise and go to the Hokage Tower. Each day they did around 3D ranked missions, and by now they were all starting to get tired of them. After missions they would go back to the training ground and work on the areas that they needed to. Kakashi had gotten Shino started learning a new taijutsu style. It was called Kajukenbo. It mixed 5 different styles of martial arts so that he could be ready for almost any attack that came at him. The style focused mainly on blocking and locking your opponent in place. Throwing your opponent away from you was also a big part of this style. While it was mostly a style that Kakashi felt could help him better defend himself, it had many forms of attack as well. He had been working on the kata since the second day, and now they were all sparring with Kakashi's clones. Naruto had gotten even more proficient at using the Roaring Dragon style to take out his clones, so after he disabled the third, Kakashi would usually send him to do his other training. Hinata was learning a more fluid and flexible version of the Juken style. It focused on moving around your opponent, and dodging his strikes before making some of your own. Naruto's mother had written the scroll on it with permission of a previous Hyuga clan member. She called it the soft Juken style. They had all progressed in their chakra control as well, and were able to fight on a tree face for an hour. Hinata and Shino had both progressed in the jutsu Kakashi had taught them as well. They were able to use them well enough in combat that Kakashi was planning to teach them another for their elements. He had decided that he would, and he taught Shino how to use Earth's style, Earth Spears jutsu, and Hinata was learning the Water Whip jutsu. Naruto hadn't gotten very far in his kenjutsu train though. He was still using the wooden sword, and Yugao knocked him around every chance she got. This irked the blonde to no end. Every day he would come home with welts and bruises from that thrice damned stick. Today was the day that Kakashi had planned on asking the Hokage if they could have a C-ranked mission. He knew that his genin were more than ready for it, and were tired of all of the D ranks they had been doing. So it was in the Hokage's office that we meet our team, Hokage-sama. I believe that they are all ready for a C-rank mission. Kakashi said, which made the genin's ears prick up. Are you sure, Kakashi? Do not make this request lightly. The old man said, knowing that they were ready as well. The Jounin nodded, and the Hokage smiled. Alright, then I think I have just the one for you. You will be escorting a bridge builder back to his country and protecting him until the bridge that he is building is finished. Send Tazuna in? He said, getting the genin excited that they would finally be going on a real mission. Soon an older man who smelled of alcohol and looked as if he were already half lit came into the room. This is the protection you're sending with me? 3 little squirts and a scarecrow? I hope you know what you're doing, Hokage-sama, he said, hiccuping every so often. His words made all of the genin angry, and Naruto was about to yell at the man before Kakashi interrupted. Tazuna-san, I assure you that we will be enough to protect you. My genin are very capable and I am a jounin, a high-ranking ninja elite. We will not come across anything that we will not be able to handle. The jounin I smiled at the man and turned to his team. Alright, you 3 pack for a month away from the village and meet at the gate in an hour. He told them, and they all separated to go and pack. An hour later they were all waiting at the gate for the bridge builder. When he finally arrived they set out for Wave Country. We're finally getting a good mission. I wonder what will happen, thought all of the genin as they made their way into the forest. Chapter 4. The beginning of Wave. The group walked with Kakashi leading them and the 3 genin surrounding Tazuna. Everything outside of the village looked the same. It was trees, and more trees as far as they could see. Every once in a while a small animal would catch their eyes. Tazuna-san, what is your village like? Naruto asked the drunk man. The blonde looked at him in curiosity. We're just a small fishing village. There aren't that many people and everyone there is like a close family, even if not by blood. It's very peaceful, he explained. They had been walking for a little over an hour now, and were at least a mile away from the village. The trees were swaying slowly in the wind as they passed 2 small puddles of water. It hasn't rained in days, why are there puddles of water on the ground? Kakashi was thinking as they passed, and Naruto was thinking along the same lines. He tensed up and his 2 genin teammates saw this. They both got ready for anything as the 2 puddles expanded, revealing 2 ninja with claw-like gauntlets on one's right hand and the other's left hand. The gauntlets were connected by a chain. The 2 ninja jumped at Kakashi first. They both swiped at him with their gauntlets and ripped the jounin to shreds. The genin were surprised and terrified that the jounin let himself be beaten so easily. They couldn't worry about that now, though. They had to get out of this little crisis. Naruto took point as Hinata and Shino backed him up from the right and left flank, respectively. The 2 ninja, having killed Kakashi, charged the genin. They didn't that 3 mere genin would be any trouble at all. Naruto wasted no time with them. He took a kunai from his pound and deflected one of their claw swipes before forming several hand signs. Wind style, great breakthrough. He yelled and sent the powerful wind blast at both of them. They were knocked back, but recovered quickly. Hinata and Shino were stunned in fear at first, but then snapped out of it, knowing what they had to do. Shino started to launch kunai at the left one and Hinata went through a few hand signs herself. Water style, water whip. She yelled and used the water from the 2 puddles to create a whip that she hit the right ninja with, hard. Neither of them had expected genin to be this well versed in the ninja arts. They were so stunned that Hinata's target took her jutsu head on. He was knocked back, and he knew that she had bruised his ribs badly with her whip. Shino's target barely dodged the kunai, but Naruto was waiting for him as he dodged the last one. He kicked the man's right knee from the side and almost broke it on impact. The ninja winced in pain and Naruto took this second opening to punch in the ribs as hard as he could. He felt at least 2 of them break as he connected. The man went flying and hit a tree trunk, knocking him semi-conscious. Naruto followed his last attack up with a punch to the face which knocked him out completely. Hinata's target didn't know what hit him. Hinata swung her water whip several times, after the first hit in the ribs. The man was hit in the left arm, the side and the leg. She released the jutsu and started in on him with her taijutsu. She closed a few of his tenketsu, bruising the places she hit. Naruto waited for his opening and as soon as he saw one he jumped in to kick the man in the sternum. He flew back into a tree as well and was knocked out instantly. After they were both knocked out, Kakashi reappeared. He told the genin that they had done amazingly for their first real fight. I wanted to see how you 3 would handle it. I also wanted to know what the 2 ninjas' purpose was, whether it was just ninja attacking ninja, or if they were after the bridge builder. Tazuna, we need to have a talk. Right now, he said when they asked why he had faked his death. Would you care to explain why 2 Chunin level ninja just tried to kill you? He asked the bridge builder. The man looked down and tried to think of a way to convince the jounin that he needed their help. Their employer doesn't want me to finish the bridge, so he has been sending ninja after me. I'm sorry for lying to you, Kakashi-san. My village didn't have enough money to pay for a higher ranking mission, or we would have. I swear to you, he said, ashamed of himself for lying to them. Regardless of what your motives were, this mission has just changed. You 3, I'm going to tell you how it is and then you can decide whether we continue or not. The 3 genin nodded. These 2 ninja were ex-Chunin from the Mist Village. They are known as the Demon Brothers and they will be the weakest ninja we face if we choose to keep going. The next opponent we face will most definitely be a jounin in skill level. This mission has just moved up from AC rank to AB, or possibly even an A-ranked mission. Think about this, you 3. It will be very dangerous if we continue, so I want you to make sure that this is what you want. I will agree to continue only as long as you 3 are sure you're ready for this. He explained to them that it was up to them. We can't leave him unprotected, Kakashi-sensei. What kind of people would we be? What kind of ninja backs down from something like this? Not me, that's for damn sure, Naruto told his sensei. The other two agreed wholeheartedly. They wouldn't be quitting or giving up on this mission. That much was clear to the Jonin. He smiled. Alright then, we will keep going, but you have to tell us everything after we finish off these two, Tazuna. If you leave anything out and I find out about it, you will never finish that bridge of yours, Kakashi said. By this time the demon brothers, who were both tied to a tree, were waking up. Everyone saw this and Kakashi walked over to them. Who are you working for, and tell me who the other ninja being sent is? Kakashi said to them, but they both refused to tell him anything. He knew this would be the case, but it didn't hurt to try. In the end he cut off their heads and sealed them into a scroll before burning the bodies. He told his genin that they would collect the bounty on those two and split it once they went back home. The three of them were excited to be getting more than just AC rank pay for what they were going to have to go through. After killing the two demon brothers, Kakashi told everyone that it was time to set up camp. He told Tazuna that they would talk after camp was set. The old man nodded and watched as the three genin set up what was to be their campsite. There were two small tents, one for Hinata and the other would be for whoever wasn't on watch, along with Tazuna. The two boys had gone to gather firewood and were back after everything was set up. Naruto started a fire with a simple fire-style jutsu and Kakashi started cooking the food that they would be eating. After he got it started, he sat down next to Tazuna and the genin followed suit. Alright Tazuna-san, tell me everything. I want to know why there are ninja after you and who hired them. I want to know what is so important about this bridge. Who is the one that doesn't want it to be finished? Leave nothing out, Kakashi said to the old man, who nodded and started to speak. Well, to answer all of your questions in one, Gato is the reason I needed you for in the first place. He is a business tycoon who has basically enslaved the people of the land of Wave. If you don't do what he tells you, or don't pay him what he thinks you owe him, you are dead. He sends men after you to kill you. The bridge builder sighed and looked at them with a small glimmer of hope in his eyes. The bridge that I'm building will change all of that though. We will be able to get all of our own provisions by trading with other villages. It will bring us money and we won't have to live as a poor fishing village any longer. The bridge is our only hope, Kakashi-san. If I'm not able to finish it, then my people will continue to live in poverty. Gato hired those two ninja, I'm sure of it. He has others too. I don't know who exactly though. I'm sorry that I lied to your village, but the only way I will ever be able to finish the bridge is if I have ninja protecting me while I do. My village was too poor to afford anything higher than AC rank mission though. I hope you guys will forgive us for the lack of honesty. The man finished looking down, as if he truly was remorseful about lying to them. He hoped that they would understand and help him. He didn't hear any of them speak for a while. To his surprise, it was Naruto who spoke up first. We have to help them, Kakashi-sensei. They had no other way of doing things than this. I know we're over our heads, but I'm sure that we can handle it. Right, guys? He said, looking at his other two teammates. They both agreed wholeheartedly. They wouldn't give up on this mission no matter what. Kakashi was proud of his three genin. Now he only hoped that they would be able to face what was to come. Alright. I feel the same as you. We will finish this mission to the end. But Tazuna-san, I want it understood that once your village can get back on its feet, you will compensate us for this. Tazuna nodded, and that was all that was said on the matter. Kakashi told everyone to get some sleep, and that they'd continue tomorrow morning at first light. They all went into their tents and left Kakashi to watch over the camp for the night. The next morning the sun shone through the trees as the genin woke up. They slowly exited their tents and found Kakashi still up, and Tazuna already up with him. Kakashi told the three of them to get everything packed up. We will head out as soon as you three finish. They nodded and started sealing the tents away into scrolls. Soon everything was sealed and they were ready to go. They started walking in the direction of Wave in the same formation that they left the village in, with Hinata on one side and Shino on the other. Naruto took point. Nothing really special happened for a while. They talked about Tazuna's village, and Naruto told him that they wouldn't let them go through that anymore. Tazuna had started to take a liking to the blonde. It seemed to him that the boy was honorable, and that was a rare quality to the man. Soon they arrived at a boating dock and found a man that would take them into the village. The sun was starting to go down by now, and it was very foggy along the river. They got onto the man's boat, and were rowing towards the village. It didn't take them long to land on the other side. When they got out of the boat, they bid the man that had taken them goodbye and were on their way. They were walking through the forest when Naruto heard something. He launched a kunai into the bushes, and when they found what he had been aiming for, they were surprised. It was a white rabbit. Naruto! You almost hit that rabbit, why'd you do that? Hinata asked him, but he was busy worrying about what the rabbit symbolized. That's weird, these rabbits are only white during the winter. Were the thoughts going through his mind when Kakashi suddenly yelled, "Get down!" Not a moment too soon, Naruto ducked and felt the whoosh of a blade being thrown over his head. It passed over him and stuck into a tree about 10 feet from him. The blade was huge. Whoever wielded it wasn't someone to be messed with. He was thinking, suddenly very afraid as he saw someone land on the blade. This man had a headband from the Mist village that was tied so that the metal was on the left side of his head. His face and neck were bandaged so that you couldn't see his mouth. He wore a black sleeveless shirt and black ninja pants. He also had bluish-gray armbands on his forearms, and he wore the same on his shins. Give me the bridge builder now, and you don't have to die, little genin. He spoke in a menacing voice that made the 3 genins' neck hair stand on end. Kakashi told them to get into Manji formation, which was where they surrounded the bridge builder. Their task was to protect him no matter what the cost. They got into formation and the masked man jumped from the tree, grabbing his sword on the way down. So who is it that I get to kill today? He asked, looking at Kakashi. I know who you are. You're Kakashi Hatake of the Sharingan Eye. You're in all of the bingo books nowadays. The man who has copied over 1,000 jutsu. What are you doing with these runts? He looked at the genin. They are my team, and I will not let anything happen to them. You're Zabuza Momochi, right? The demon of the hidden mist. On your opponent, Kakashi said, moving his headband to uncover his Sharingan Eye. He launched at Zabuza, throwing shuriken and slashing with the kunai in his hand. Zabuza dodged the shuriken, but was too late for the kunai. The man exploded in a shower of water, surprising the silver-haired jounin that attacked him. Water clone, he thought, and turned around to see his target slashing down at him with his oversized sword. Kakashi exploded into water too, surprising the jounin of the mist. He copied it that fast, he thought, and jumped back. Kakashi appeared in front of him close to the river. Zabuza launched 10 shuriken at the copy ninja, and Kakashi had no choice but to retreat into the water. Zabuza smirked. Wrong move, Kakashi, he thought, and jumped onto the water. Kakashi resurfaced in front of him, but he was already doing hand signs. Water style, water prison jutsu, he said, and stretched his arm out in front of him, creating a spherical prison of water around Kakashi, trapping him there. Zabuza created 2 water clones to take care of the 3 genin. Naruto, Hinata, and Shino all watched the fight unfold in awe. They had never seen 2 people that skilled fight before. They knew that both wanted to kill the other, and it scared them to think that that was what the life of the shinobi was about. When Kakashi got trapped in the water prison, they panicked, not knowing what to do. Kakashi knew that was what was going through their minds and yelled, "Run! Take Tazuna and get out of here! You can't take him by yourselves." This snapped Naruto out of his stupor, and he decided that he wasn't going to run. Hinata, Shino, I have a plan. He summoned 50 clones to keep Zabuza's clones busy while he explained it to them. Alright, we will do it, they said after he told them. Naruto created 10 more clones and ran at Zabuza's clones, with a kunai in hand. He threw it at the left clone, and that was the one that the clones went after. He was doing hand signs as he ran at the other clone. The other 2 were doing hand signs as well. Earth style, mud wall jutsu, Shino said, and a wall of earth was brought up behind both clones. Wind style, great breakthrough, Naruto yelled and shot the powerful blast of wind at the right clone. The clone was blown back into the wall, and that was when Hinata yelled, water style, water bullet. She shot a small water bullet as hard as she could at the clone. It was dazed, so it didn't dodge, and when the bullet hit, it went through both the clone and the mud wall. The clone dispelled into water, and Naruto took this chance. He started doing hand signs. Wind style, wind blade. He yelled and slashed through his clones and the last clone of Zabuza. After that he started doing more hand signs along with Hinata. They were standing right in front of the mud wall when Shino brought it down. Wind style, air bullet, water style, water bullet. Hinata and Naruto said at the same time. They shot 2 bullets of wind and air at Zabuza. Shit, I'm going to have to let him go if I don't want to be hit by that. Zabuza thought and let go of the water prison. He jumped out of the way of their attack, but what they wanted had happened. They had freed Kakashi. The genin backed off after that, knowing there was little they could do about the jounin that they faced. The 2 seasoned ninjas stood atop the water staring at each other. It seemed as if Kakashi was copying every move that Zabuza made. When he would run to the left, Kakashi would do the same. Zabuza started weaving hand signs and Kakashi started weaving the same sign. Soon they were both done. Water style, water dragon jutsu, they both said at the same time. 2 dragons rose up from the water and collided, showering them both in water. Kakashi kept copying everything Zabuza did. Stop copying my moves, Kakashi. You won't be able to beat me with cheap tricks. They'll crush you. Zabuza and Kakashi both yelled and started doing hand signs. Kakashi started doing the same signs, but when it came time for their jutsu to meet, only one voice could be heard. Water style, giant vortex jutsu, Kakashi said, and suddenly the water in front of him rose up and made a whirling vortex in front of Kakashi before it shot out at Zabuza. I was just about to make a vortex, but he made one first. Zabuza thought it hit him hard and he was tossed and turned everywhere before finally smacking against the tree. Kakashi threw several kunai at him, hitting him in both arms and legs. The mist jounin winced in pain with every hit. You're finished, Zabuza, Kakashi told him from a branch above him in the tree that he was leaning on. Zabuza coughed up water that was mixed with blood. Can you see the future, Kakashi? You copied everything perfectly. And that last attack, I was just about to do the same thing, Zabuza said weakly. Yes, I can, and this will be your last battle, ever, Kakashi replied with a kunai in hand. As Kakashi was about to jump down and kill the jounin from the mist, 2 Saban flew out from the trees and hit him in the neck, killing him. Kakashi looked to where the needles had come from and saw a hunter ninja. You were right, Kakashi-san, this was his last battle. Thank you for weakening him for me. I have been hunting Zabuza for many years now, the hunter ninja said and shone to the dead body of Zabuza. Kakashi jumped down and checked the man's vitals. There wasn't a pulse, so he relaxed a little. I will take this body and deal with it. Thank you again, Kakashi-san, the hunter nin stated before picking up the body and transporting it who knows where. Naruto and the others were watching this. They were relieved to finally be finished with the battle and with Zabuza. You guys can stay at my house while I work on this bridge. It's the least I can do to repay all you've done. Come on, it's this way, Tazuna told them. Good work, you three. Kakashi said, and after he finished the silver-haired Jounin passed out onto the ground. Kakashi-sensei. The three genin exclaimed, worried about their teacher. It's just a case of mild chakra exhaustion from using his Sharingan too much. Naruto told them after looking the Jounin over for a moment. He had seen this before during training. His teammates relaxed visibly at that. Naruto summoned 2 shadow clones and they slowly made their way to Tazuna's home. Tazuna's home was average in size. It had 2 stories, and there were 3 bedrooms upstairs along with the 2 that were downstairs. The living room was of a decent size and that is what they walked into when they got there. Tsunami, who was Tazuna's daughter, greeted them. Dad. You're home, I'm glad you made it back safe. She saw Kakashi and told Naruto to bring him inside and put him upstairs in one of the rooms. Naruto did this and then they all ate dinner. It was a good meal. Tsunami cooked the genin team fish and bread for dinner. After dinner they all went to bed in one of the rooms upstairs, at an undisclosed location underground. Why does he always push himself like this? It's going to be at least 3 weeks before Zabuza-sama recovers from the temporary death state that I had to put him in. The hunter nin was talking to herself. She didn't know that her master was listening to her. Haku, why do you have to be so cruel? That hurt like hell, you know. Zabuza said as he ripped the 2 saban that were still sticking out of his neck free. Be careful, Zabuza-sama. You could really hurt yourself ripping them out like that. And besides, the neck is the easiest place that I could hit you to get the desired results. Also, are you even for a second saying that if I had marred that precious body of yours that you would be less pissed than you are now? She looked at him asking. Still, you could have been a little easier. He replied, joking with the girl that he had raised as his tool since she was a child. Normally it would take around 3 weeks for someone to recover from something like this. But with your track record, you'll probably be as good as new in a week and a half, she replied, ignoring his comment. Zabuza was furious that he'd been beaten by that copycat of a ninja. I'll get my revenge for this defeat for sure. He thought as he laid back down to rest a little more. He watched as Gato came into the room and started to berate him about losing to Kakashi, getting closer to the bandaged man with every passing sentence. Haku surprised him by breaking the man's wrist and telling him that if he ever got that close to Zabuza again that she would kill him. He was proud of his student, oh so proud. The next morning Naruto woke up and walked downstairs to find that everyone was already there waiting for him. Kakashi was bandaged and had to use crutches to walk. Naruto's teammates were sitting at the table. Kakashi looked over to see Naruto come down the stairs. Ah, Naruto, you're awake. Good, now I can tell you all this and don't have to repeat myself. The genin all wondered what he wanted to tell them. Naruto sat down and Tsunami put a plate of breakfast in front of him. Alright, you three, I have my suspicions that Zabuza is still alive. That means we're not out of the woods yet, and I'm going to be training you all into the ground for the next week. The next time we fight him you will be better prepared for it. He will probably bring back up with him this time, so be forewarned. Kakashi stated without letting them process completely that Zabuza was still alive. What? I thought that the hunter ninja killed him, sensei. Naruto said and the others nodded, not wanting to believe that he wasn't dead. Kakashi sighed, knowing what they were thinking. Think about the weapons that hunter ninja used. What were they, Hinata? They were Senbon, Kakashi-sensei, or throwing needles. She replied, starting to put it together. Right, Senbon are small and precise, and able to hit vital spots easily. If that hunter ninja wanted to suspend Zabuza in a death-like state, it would be child's play for him. What do you know of hunter ninja in general, Shino? Kakashi asked the bug user. By this time the 3 genin had all put together the pieces of information that they were given. I know that hunter ninja are sent after rogue ninja to kill them and destroy their bodies so that the ninja's village secrets aren't able to be taken from it. They are supposed to destroy the body on sight, but the hunter that we met didn't. He took Zabuza's body somewhere else. Shino said, knowing that their sensei was right. So that hunter ninja had to be working with Zabuza then? Naruto put in, finishing all of the thoughts going around in the room. Correct, Naruto. And I'd say we have about a week and a half before Zabuza is ready to fight again. I will be using this time to train you 3 to be able to do more against him. Anything you learn will help you than nothing. I may be injured right now, but that doesn't mean that I can't instruct. We will get started after breakfast. Kakashi finished and resumed eating so that his genin could process all the information. After breakfast Kakashi told them to follow him. He led them all to the riverbank. Alright, you 3. None of you have learned this skill yet, so I will be teaching it to you today. It's a skill known as water walking. It will help you build your reserves and to better control them. This will make jutsu cost you less chakra and help in controlling your jutsu more. But how are we supposed to walk on water, Kakashi-sensei? That's impossible. Naruto said, voicing all three genins' thoughts aloud. If you remember correctly, Zabuza was standing on the water while he held me in that water prison of his. You do it like this, Kakashi said and slowly walked out onto the surface of the water. The three of them did remember that. Oh yeah, they all thought stupidly. This exercise is a lot like tree walking. You concentrate chakra to your feet to hold you up onto the water. The difference is that you have to constantly change the amount of chakra at your feet. This will cause you to burn your reserves quickly, and therefore increase them. Get started on this, and if you can finish the exercise in less than 5 days I will teach each of you a new jutsu. Kakashi instructed, giving them incentive to work harder. Naruto, Shino, and Hinata all slowly walked into the water, and concentrated chakra to their feet as they did. All three of them stuck to the surface for a small amount of time but sank almost immediately. Hinata stayed up the longest, with Shino being second and Naruto being third because of his immense reserves. Kakashi walked to the nearest tree and sat down. Pulling his orange book out, he started reading his smut. After 3 hours of working at it, the only one any closer to finishing was Hinata. She could stay on the surface for a little over 5 minutes now. The other two, however, weren't even near that good. They could both only stay up for around 2 or 3 minutes. Kakashi called them over for a break. You guys can take a break and then I want you to all to do your routine exercises and then get back at it. He told them, knowing that they were starting to tire. Naruto wasn't starting to tire at all, but that was because of the Kyuubi. Soon they were starting their exercises. Naruto started running up and down the riverside. Shino started on his push-ups and Hinata started on her punches and kicks. It wasn't long before they finished their respective exercises and went to the next set that they were supposed to do. About an hour later they were all back at water walking. This continued until it started to get dark and Kakashi told them to call it a night. They all went back to Tazuna's and sat at the table for dinner. Inari, who was Tazuna's grandson, was there, and he kept glaring at all of them. Naruto wondered what his problem was. After dinner they all went to bed. They were dead tired after that day of training. The next day Naruto and his teammates got up before dawn so that they could get to training. Kakashi was still sleeping when they left Tazuna's house. They had been sure to take better clothes for swimming. They all brought shorts and Hinata brought a tank top as well. As they got to the riverside they were getting more and more ready to get started. Hinata was extremely nervous about showing her teammates what she looked like without a jacket. She blushed and wondered what they would think. She was mostly worried about Naruto though. They did their morning routines and started in on water walking. Hinata slowly took her jacket off, revealing the tank top underneath, and Naruto and Shino both blushed, looking at her young developing body. Shino would never admit this to anyone if asked, of course. Naruto sputtered nervously that they should get started. Hinata was pleased at the reaction she got from him, and hoped that it meant that he thought she was pretty. Hinata had gotten the farthest the day before, of course. She could stay up for almost 20 minutes before falling in. Naruto had pushed himself to 10 minutes and Shino could stay up for 12. They got onto the water and Naruto said, blushing, what if we try going farther out? It will be a lot harder, but I think it will help us master this faster, since we'll be getting used to the rougher current further out. The other two shrugged and started walking with him as far as they could. They were both surprised at this new timid and shy Naruto. They weren't used to it. They shrugged it off and before long all three young genin fell in due to the unstable current farther out, just as Naruto had thought they would. They got out of the water and tried again. They would walk slowly out until they fell in, and each time they would get a little farther across the wide river. They continued this for hours, and soon the sun was high in the sky. By this time Naruto had finally gotten over his nervousness around Hinata, and talked normally again, without stuttering. He wondered why he had reacted that way, but shrugged it off for now, thinking that he would deal with his reaction to her later. This was when Kakashi decided to join them. By this time they had all gotten a fourth of the way across. It surprised Kakashi how they were going about this training, but he was impressed at how far they had come. Come on in guys, it's time for a break, and then I want to see how long you can each stay standing still. They walked back to the riverside, becoming more confident as they got closer to the bank of the river. After a 10-minute break they all stood on the water for as long as they could. The two boys were even at 20 minutes and Hinata could now stay on for 35 without falling in. Alright you three, good work so far. I have something for you all. It's the next set of weights for each of you. I bought them before the mission started. This will make water walking harder, but you'll all be stronger for it. Hinata, you're at 20 pounds, and Shino, you're at 40. Here you go. He handed Hinata and Shino their weights to put on. They both put them on and groaned, realizing how much harder this would be. Naruto, you're at 60 now. I want you all to do your morning routines again once to get used to the new weight. These new sets have a seal on them to release them. Touch them while channeling chakra into your hands and they will fall off. Here you go, Naruto. He handed Naruto his weights and the blonde put them on without question. His two teammates were beyond surprised. I can barely move at where I'm at. How does he do it? Were the thoughts running through Naruto's teammates' minds. After they were all outfitted with their weights, they each started on their routines for the second time that day. This run-through of exercises was a lot slower going than the one before. They all struggled immensely to get through each exercise. They knew it would be a while before they were used to this added weight. 2 hours later they were done, and Kakashi told them it was time for a late lunch. It was around 2 o'clock now, so they headed back to Tazuna's house. They ate their lunch happily. They all felt like they were starving. After lunch they went back out to the riverside, but not before Kakashi told Naruto to send a squad of 5 shadow clones to go and watch over the bridge builder. Naruto did so and they were off. They had to basically restart the water walking exercise because of the new weights. They each started walking across the water, and when one of them would fall and they would all start back at the riverbank. By nightfall they had started to get used to the weights that they were given. It was time to go back to Tazuna's and have dinner, which they thoroughly enjoyed. The next 2 days went by in much the same way. The genin team would wake up and go out to the river at dawn and train until they had to take a break, and then they would break for lunch and start back after resting a little while. They all progressed very quickly with the help of support from each other. When one would figure something out about the exercise they would clue the other two in. They were all up to almost an hour of standing still on the water, but it wasn't enough for them. They knew that if they were going to be able to use the skill in combat that they would need to be able to fight on the water surface for at least 2 hours. They had completely acclimated to their added weights by the end of the 2 days and were now resting on the river bank. Hinata had gotten a little bolder after that first day and now she wore her tank top without being so nervous around the boys. Speaking of those two, they both noticed that their female teammate was starting to develop in ways that they wouldn't have seen if she had kept wearing her jacket. Naruto in particular still felt himself blushing countless times as he watched as Hinata would get out of the water after falling in. Her wet tank top clung to her skin tightly, leaving little to the imagination. While the dark-haired girl's assets were nowhere near a certain blonde medical kunoichis, they were definitely farther along in development than all of her other classmates. Why does this have to be so hard, guys? Naruto was complaining because their progress hadn't gotten much better from the day before. We will get it, I know we will. Hinata said. She still stuttered during some conversations with her blonde crush, but it was almost non-existent now. We just have to keep working at it. Shino agreed. He had opened up to them more, even telling them about his clan a little. Naruto thought it was cool that a whole clan specialized in housing insect that they could use in battle inside themselves. Hinata thought it was just a little creepy, but didn't tell her teammates so, because she hadn't wanted to hurt his feelings. They still had a few hours of daylight left, so they all stood up and started back at it. Instead of standing still, they were now walking around on the water. Shino had come up with idea. He had said that if they were going to have to fight on the water they should be able to walk around. 3 hours later night had fallen and they walked into Tazuna's house completely exhausted. They had gotten further than they had ever gotten before tonight. They were able to walk around on any part of the river's surface for an hour and a half before falling in. They decided before the 3 of them left the riverbed that the next day they would start sparring on the water. Dinner was already ready for them and everyone was already waiting for them at the table. We're finally ready for the next step of this training, Kakashi-sensei. We made it an hour and a half, so we're going to start sparring tomorrow. Naruto said excitedly. Why do you even try? You're just going to end up dead. The little boy Inari suddenly yelled at the 3 of them. Why do you think that? We're going to beat Gato and help your village, kid. Naruto replied, getting more annoyed at the boy with every passing minute. No, you won't. You're all just going to die. Like he did. Inari yelled back. Look, I don't know who you're talking about, kid, but I'm not going to die. Stop acting like such a victim. You have no idea what real pain is like. You don't know what it's like to live in a village where you're despised for something you can't even control. Something that happened the day that you were born that you didn't have any say in. So why don't you shut up and stop acting like your pain is the only thing that matters? Stop acting like a little wimp. Naruto practically screamed the last part at the boy and stormed off, telling the others at the table that he was going to go train. Kakashi-sensei, what was Naruto talking about? What happened when he was born? I've noticed how the villagers look at him, Hinata asked, forgetting about what the boy had said almost entirely. She had been wondering what made the villagers look at Naruto like they did for longer than any of her classmates. Please tell us, Kakashi-sensei, Shino said, wondering the same things that Hinata was. You know they are going to want to know, and I think you should be the one to tell them. Naruto. Kakashi had made a clone to talk to his student, without the others noticing. They were walking through the forest. Naruto didn't want to train with walking on water tonight. He had something else in mind that he didn't want any of the others to know about. I know, Kakashi-sensei, but I don't think I can tell them right now. I know it's not your place, but if they ask, just tell them everything. I just hope they don't look at me differently. Naruto said, looking down. They won't, Naruto. If I know anything about those 2 on your team, that they won't see you as the demon. They will see what your father wanted everyone to, that you're a hero. I'm going to dispel now. Be careful out here tonight. Kakashi's clone replied, putting his hand on Naruto's shoulder before dispelling. I won't, Naruto replied to no one before summoning 500 clones. This was going to be a long night. Kakashi received his clone's memories, getting the okay from Naruto to tell the 2 genin in front of him. As he began to tell the story of how the Kyuubi was really dealt with, Inari realized just how wrong he was. That blonde boy dealt with hate and prejudice every day for something that he couldn't do anything about, and yet every day that he'd been at his grandpa's house he had been happy and cheerful, acting like he had no other cares in the world except for helping Inari's village get through the strife it was going through with Gato. I need to apologize to Naruto, he thought as the blonde's teammates listened raptly to the story that Kakashi was telling. They both felt sorry for Naruto, They knew that they could never do anything to make it better for their blonde teammate. To think that he had held the beast all this time, only learning about it recently. The villagers had it all wrong in their opinions. Naruto wasn't the demon, he was keeping the demon at bay. He was saving the villagers' ungrateful asses every day, and none of them cared. What can we do to make what he goes though better, Kakashi-sensei? Hinata asked, although she had a feeling that she knew what the silver-haired jounin would say. Don't treat him any different than you do now. Just be his friends, you two. That's all he really wants, is friends to count on that like him for who he is, Kakashi replied, confirming Hinata's suspicions. The two of them decided then and there that they would show Naruto that he had friends, and that they both cared deeply for him. We find Naruto back in the forest panting in fatigue as he continued to fight his clones. He wasn't holding back and neither were they. He dodged a punch from one of them, and a kick from another. He was starting to get tired finally, and he knew it. Deep cuts and bruises littered the blonde's body as he finally passed out on the forest floor from exhaustion. I just hope they don't see me any different, were the last thoughts that passed through the blonde's mind. What if Naruto has grandparents' inheritance? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.